Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports, as we welcome you in and bring you deeper into the offseason as we get closer and closer to the combine, to free agency, and to the NFL draft. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Tuesday morning, brother?
Yeah, a little bit late today. We apologize, but things happen. But we'll give you your 2 hours, so don't worry about that, Birds 365 Nation. I appreciate the patience, but yeah, I mean, officially for me, the page has turned. I'm sure everybody wants to bask in the Super Bowl championship, but Eagles can't afford to, man. Everybody's got the head start, and you know, Howie Roseman knows the key to a good season starts in the offseason, and he's made that correlation. He believes his 3 best off seasons were the 3 Super Bowl teams. So that kind of tells you his belief. So, and it starts with the combine, as you mentioned, the draft and free agency. So a lot of decisions got to be made, a lot of turnover always in the NFL, about 30%. So you can expect that yearly. And that's one of the difficult things about this era versus, I always go back to those 70 teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers, all those great teams of the 70s for people who are historians of the NFL. The difference between those great teams and the great teams now, you could put together a core of people for like a decade, you know, like the Steelers were able to do,
Right,
and have 4 Super Bowl championship teams. You didn't have to worry about free agency and guys leaving. You know, the Eagles win one, and they got to worry about Milton Williams leaving and Zack Baun leaving and Josh Sweat leaving and Mekhi Becton leaving. That's what makes it more difficult now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's all part of the offseason discussions that we will have here on Birds 365 all week long, or all offseason long, Johnny Mac. And, you know, there's 4 free agents are the big ones to talk about right now, but there's a lot more than that, obviously, as we get into the draft and some of that stuff. We'll get some draft experts on here. We'll talk about some roster holes. We'll talk about some restructures, John. I think that's another part of this, is how he's going to be in his bag of tricks and restructuring and all sorts of things. So a lot of stuff to do for this football team, John. And as you mentioned, when you win it all, it makes it a lot harder to do it all.
Yeah, time gets crunched, obviously. You know, the quick turnaround. I saw Josina Anderson was out there saying they should move it back. It seems like the Super Bowl was 10 minutes ago, and it does seem that way for, you know, 2 particular teams, but not for everybody else.
Everybody else feels like they've been waiting.
Yeah. So I don't know how you fix that, but it's just part of it. And Howie says it all the time. You'd rather be in the Eagles' position than anybody else's position. So I don't think they're going to complain about it. They're certainly not going to use it as any excuse. But you know, it is an extra hurdle that when you do have these long seasons,
right?
From the physical perspective too, when you think about guys resting very long season and then they got to come back quickly when, you know, rookie camp starts, mandatory OTAs, mandatory minicamp, things like that.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out, Johnny Mac. Good stuff there, John. As we now prep for what's the upcoming off season here, there's a lot of stuff to do. You mentioned the free agents there, but I want to ask you, where do you see holes on this roster right now as you go into this offseason? There's going to be a big checklist of things that Howie will have on his agenda, but you know, as it sits here today, you got to treat the free agents as if they are free agents and they're not on this team anymore. Where are the biggest holes in your opinion? Where do you think Howie's going to be most focused on addressing so far in this offseason?
Well, I mean, they have the deeper roster in football. I think they proved that. So, you know, again, everything's relative in the NFL. But as you mentioned, there's going to be turnover. Now, at the same time, you can't just assume what you just said and that they're not going to lose everybody. You know, that's not how it works either. So they're going to get some of those players that are currently pending free agents back. There's no question about that. So, you know, it's we're looking at an incomplete picture right now. But certainly, I think it starts up front on the defensive side of the football. We know foundationally what the Eagles are. I think everybody understands that by now. They should. Forget about what I say. Howie says it himself. If everything's even, they're going to go offensive line, defensive front. Bang. That's it. If everything's even, that's where they're going to go. That's where they're going to default to. And when you're picking 30 seconds, and ultimately, I doubt the Eagles will. We know how I doubt they'll stay there. But
Right.
for the purposes of this exercise, when you're picking 32nd in the first round, you're gonna lean to your default setting, and that's probably going to be the best defensive front player on the board at that point. A little bit of an outside best offensive line player potentially if a guy's ranked higher. And there's some always outliers. If somebody they really like falls at a different position, Cooper DeJean would have been that type of guy last.
Right. There's a lot of defensive linemen in this draft, John.
Yeah,
I started to look into the draft. I mean, the players are behind them. We are too. I haven't had a chance to dive into it all yet, but I dove in a little bit last night. I started to do some work. There is a lot of defensive linemen in this draft.
Yeah, and that's why that's also matching up with probably what the Eagles are going to need. So then it clicks. It really clicks. And if I were a betting man, I would bet heavily. If you're just betting positions,
right?
I would bet defensive front at 32. I'd also probably bet he moves before that. But,
yeah, me too. Yeah, I agree.
but if they're forced to stay at 32, it always takes two to tango.
Any names pop out of you that you think might be there? Because there's a lot of guys I like, but I'm having a hard time believing they get down to 32. And
well, I have a hard time
to move up.
I have a hard time believing the edge rushers are going to be there because those guys always get pushed up the board.
Right.
So
like
I
saw somebody mock Jack Sawyer at 32. I'm like, there's no way he falls to 32. At least
that's why. I mean, there's right around, if you look at Jeremiah's guy, Daniel Jeremiah, former Eagles scout, NFL media's lead draft analyst, guy I respect a lot. If you look at his top 50, he's got a bunch of defensive front people in that 25 to 35 range, which you would think, they might be there. But then I'd look at them and I'm like, they're not going to be there because there's certain guys, especially edge rushers, they're getting pushed up the board. So Shamar Stewart, somebody's got ranked 27.
Right.
Texas A&M.
Who was that you said, by the way, that you were looking at?
Daniel Jeremiah.
Oh yeah.
Shamar Stewart, you're not going to be there. No way at 32. Edge rusher. There's a kid from Boston College. I don't want to butcher his name. Donovan Iruaku. And I'm sure that's not even close. But again, edge rushers tend to get pushed up the board. I can't imagine. So I start looking at potentially interior defensive guys. Sometimes they fall a little bit because maybe they're undersized or maybe they're considered run stuffers, maybe two down players. So Derek Harmon's a kid from Oregon. I doubt he's going to be there, but he's a defensive front player in that grouping. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, another defensive tackle, but he's more of a penetrator. So Eagles are more of a 1.5 gap team.
Right.
I don't know if he's a fit. And then the offensive lineman, Donovan Jackson, two Ohio State kids, Donovan Jackson, Josh Simmons. If they're the best players on the board, they just might take them. So those are some of the early. And then I think tight end might be. If Howie.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what he did last time. That was the Dallas Goedert year. What, 2017, not 2018.
Yeah, 18. Yep.
2018. When Lamar Jackson went 32, the Eagles traded out. They might do that again. And there's a bunch of good tight ends in this draft. So Mason Taylor from LSU's one guy.
Yeah, I like him.
you're not going to get Ty Warren. I know everybody's
No, yeah, no.
You're not getting Ty Warren.
Colston Loveland's a guy that, I mean, I don't know. You probably have to use your first on him or a guy like him, but he's one I like too.
Yeah. But I mean, Jack Sawyer, the guy you bring up, DJ's got him at 40. So who knows? You know, he might.
No, that's pretty low. I saw him a little higher some other spots, but I like Daniel Jeremiah. I'll have to look at what he does.
Yeah, TJ Sanders from South Carolina is another defensive tackle. And he's, potentially going to be there. So those are some of the kids. And then I'll tell you, especially if Slay goes, considering the Eagles and their beliefs, there's a kid from Notre Dame, Benjamin Morrison, who hurt his hip. He was the best cornerback in the country before he got hurt. And if that pushes him down the board, I could see them doing that again.
He's young too. He's like 20 years old, I think.
But I mean, I ultimately I think he's going to go.
Yeah,
I don't believe.
I know exactly what you're talking about. The kid's a good player.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, John, there's something I wanted to ask you about that. Let's just assume for a second that Slay is gone. They going to move Cooper DeJean out there? What do you think right now the contingency plan would be for next year to replace Darius Slay? You make Quinyon CB1? Do you move Cooper to the outside? Do you move up Keely Ringo? Do you elevate? Do you re-sign Isaiah Rodgers? I don't know. I think Cooper DeJean's going to be capable of doing it. I just don't know if they want to move him. I'm sure his agent wants him to move, though.
Yeah, I know. That's a complicated one. I think he can do it. I think there's a lot of people,
he can do it.
Because
I've seen enough from Cooper DeJean to say he can do
it. He's a white guy.
I don't give a shit I don't care if he's fucking purple, John. That dude can play, man.
He's such a good athlete. I just think people are ludicrous with that stuff. I mean, he's a better athlete than 98% of the corners coming out each and every year. Forget about his year. He's just a phenomenal athlete. So I think he could do it. Ultimately, he's so good inside. Do you want to mess with it? I don't know. To me, the hope is, hey, can Keely Ringo do it? We got no real indications this year. Isaiah Rodgers, as you mentioned, I guarantee if they're going to move on from Slay, they're probably going to bring Rodgers back. And that would be to me, it would be your stopgap. You would start with Mitchell and Rodgers outside, DeJean inside. And if it doesn't work out, you can manipulate things from there. But they have a lot of options. So, I mean, those are two pretty good options from a ceiling standpoint. And Ringo and Rodgers. And then Cooper can move outside. Then, maybe you double
Ringo
down.
hasn't showed much, John.
Well, he hasn't played. So, I mean, he lost sort of the cornerback 3 job to Isaiah Rodgers, which is, is that a bad thing? Isaiah played pretty well. The issue with Isaiah Rodgers, can he hold up as a full-time corner? A lot of size issues there. And there's a big difference from playing 300 something snaps to 1,000.
Right.
And so there would be some concerns there, but it's really difficult. If somebody can be underrated in the Hall of Famer, that's Darius Slay. I mean, I think he's a Hall of Fame player. He's certainly a borderline Hall of Fame player. I think ultimately he's going to go in. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. And I don't know. I get the feeling like people in Philadelphia are like, I mean, it's going to be difficult to replace Darius Slay.
No doubt about it. It's going to be difficult. And by the way, I just want, John, for the benefit of the conversation and elevating the conversation, as you always say, there's a lot of people in the chat who say they love DeJean in the nickel. And I understand that, by the way. I'm with you guys. I understand. I love Cooper in the slot as well. Close to the ball, can make plays, great tackler. I understand. But it's a very complicated business move with Cooper DeJean. And if you could elaborate on that a little bit, John, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, outside corners get paid more.
Yeah.
So to Zander's point, I mean, yeah, it's nice. Unfortunately, the business part of it comes in, and that's part of it. And he's still young enough to certainly where it's not going to matter. I don't think you have to force it this year. But ultimately, I think he's going to play outside corner because of two reasons. One, he can. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And two, it's just the reality of the situation. Yeah, sometimes business does come into it.
Right.
And he does have an agent who will be advising him. He can pretend it doesn't exist, but it exists. And unfortunately, the NFL does some stupid shit. I say it all the time. You should pay good players no matter where they play.
Right. That's so true.
But they don't. So, and we talk about, a lot of people say, why do guys go for sacks? Because they get paid for sacks. So, you have defensive coaches.
Yeah, just ask Bryce Huff. I went out and got 10 sacks, picked up $51 million.
I didn't say that wasn't to shit on Bryce Huff.
No, I know. That was me thing. That was not you thing. That was me thing.
What I'm saying is, and then you get to camp and defensive guys. Well, you got to be disciplined. You can't freelance. You got to keep the quarterback in the pocket, especially dual threats. And it's like, and a guy sitting there. Then you have incentives, and everybody's got these incentives to go. Well, if you get 15 sacks, you get an extra 5. The NFL's stupid with that stuff. They really are. And when you think about nickel and diming it, as opposed to eliminating a distraction by saying, all right, you're gonna get an extra $500,000 for making the playoffs, or an extra $500,000, make it a team goal. And people do that as well, but there's far too many individual goals from a business standpoint, and that affects team play. And the bottom line is outside corners make more money than nickel corners. Significantly more money.
A lot more, to the point where his agent's going to say, I wouldn't even let them play you at nickel again. But, look, I get it. Everybody wants to,
Second year, I don't think it's going to be an issue this year. But as you go forward, it's going to be an issue.
Well, the reason I think it could be an issue this year is because if Slay is gone, the Eagles are looking to replace Slay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess you could hypothetically have a stopgap, like you said, and then move Cooper DeJean out there. But, if I'm Cooper DeJean's agent, I'm saying, brother, you're a Hall of Fame cornerbacks retiring. Go and fucking take that job. And that's $100 million payday in 3 years.
And then there's not a lot of people that do this, but there are a few. And Cooper's smart enough from a football IQ standpoint to play outside and then move inside when you need a nickel. So he could do both, and they could do it that way. Now the Eagles,
I really wish players were paid on player value, not positional value, because Saquon Barkley is another great example of it, right? He makes running back money, but his value is greater to the Eagles than most wide receivers are, but he'll never get paid like that.
No. Well, and perfect example this year is Zack Baun and Milton Williams.
Yeah,
now, Zack Baun's, 5th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. He was the best player on the Eagles defense.
Right.
Milton Williams would get more money. He's just getting more money.
Yeah, we got to talk about them too, those free agents again, because boy, there's some funny numbers floating around there, John.
Well, I don't pay much attention to them, but yeah, I mean, I've seen some really low numbers for Zack Baun. I mean, really
Milton
low
too.
numbers.
I mean, I've seen some crazy low numbers. Now, Milton, I think you're way right, where people are going to bet on that young player as a defensive lineman, but I don't know. I mean, if some of those values fall a little bit lower,
well, of course,
potentially. I mean,
of course. And hey, I don't know what numbers you're talking about. Now, I saw.
I was using Spot Track, but I also heard from Cilio yesterday, who reaches out to his friends inside some organizations, and some of the guys he's close with, which I'm not going to name the names of who they are, but they are people who work in that department of football teams, and they're like, some of these numbers that people are talking about, Zack Baun, $20 million. No, he's not worth that.
no.
Yeah. So I mean,
No offense, but they don't understand what they're talking about. I don't know who you're talking about, but Brad Spielberger used to do this show a lot. Now he can't because he works for an agency, but he was phenomenal at
so
sort
good.
of contract predictions. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember it. We had him on the show, and he was almost to a freaking T on like everybody.
And he used to do it for PFF. So I mean, they're probably the best as far as projected contracts. Because Jason Fitzpatrick helps them out as well, who's the over the cap guy. They're very good. Look at over the cap before you look at Spotrac. I'll tell you that right off the bat. But
Yeah.
So I was just looking at them. They have Milton at right where I think 3 years, 21 million a year, 37.5 million guaranteed, 63 million total. Now, I think he'd like to get to 4. I think he could get to 4, but the key is the average annual value. I got him at 20 to 23 million. They got him at 21 million. That falls right in that category. Zach, they're a little bit lower on Zach than I would think. So I think that's a positive for the Eagles. They have him at 3 years, 13.33 million per year. So that's 40 million total, 26.5 million guaranteed.
Right.
If that's the case, I think that's a break for the Eagles. I got them at about 15, which isn't that far off, and then the toughest one I said, I don't know where Mekhi Becton's going to go. They have him 3 years, 27. So 9 million a year, 17 million guaranteed. That's doable. Again, there's so many injury concerns. Do you want to play him at tackle?
Right.
That's a guard contract to me. So that would help the Eagles.
That's a good guard contract. I mean, Landon Dickerson makes what, 20 million?
Yeah, it's a good guard, but it's a guard contract. And then Josh Sweat, they got it 3 years, 18 million a year. So 54 total.
Right. Which I think is right on the number. I think that's right where he's going to get.
To me, that's tough to keep Josh Sweat at.
Yeah, I agree.
So to me, can you get Milton Dunn at 21 million a year? Do you want to get Milton Dunn at 21 million a year? I want to get Milton Dunn, but the Eagles, again, how he looks at things in 3-year increments. So he's already thinking about, what are we going to have to pay Jalen Carter? What are we going to pay Jordan Davis? Do we want to pay, in a lot of ways, this is, do you want Jordan Davis back or do you want Milton Williams back?
I'd rather have Milton Williams, but I understand that that's complex because they play different positions and they do different things for the line, where Moro Jomo could essentially replace, maybe not to the same level, but he can play Milton's position, correct? He can't play Jordan Davis.
Yeah, exactly. But Jordan Davis, the way the Eagles played this year, didn't play a whole heck of a lot.
Right.
So these are all decisions, difficult decisions you have to make. But those are if Milton doesn't get 20 million a year, and people can mark this all they want, I will be stunned.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know what numbers other people have. Zach Berman, who I love, had him at, was talking about Draymond Jones's contract, which is like 15, 16. I'm like, that's it. The Eagles are bringing him back.
Right.
That to me is not going to happen, but we'll see. I mean,
yeah, he's an interesting one, because he was, I don't want to say he was a rotational piece, but he wasn't like your star of that defense. He was a great player, but it's going to be interesting to see how other teams value him, playing next to,
well, and I just say
in that D line.
And teams there's a lot of, I joke all the time, and it's not a joke because I think the Eagles pretty much beat half of the league before they ever take the field, just by the way they conduct their business.
Yeah, right.
If that makes sense. But teams are getting smart. There aren't as many flat out dumb teams. So maybe people do recognize, well, yeah, Milton had a great year, but Jalen Carter's there and everybody's worried about Jalen Carter. And everybody's the attention is on Jalen Carter. So maybe people recognize that, and Jalen Carter's not going to be coming over with Milton Williams. Milton's not much of a run stuffer, very Javon Hargrave-ish type player, to be honest. Similar type player, but you saw what Javon got. I mean, people pay pass rushers. And for all the talk about Jalen, Milton was ranked higher. Eagles defense was unbelievable, by the way. Their interior defensive lineman by PFF. Milton was 14th. Jalen was 18th. Jordan Davis was 20th. Moro Jomo was 22nd. That's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's fucking unbelievable. But to your point about who played the most, obviously Jalen was way out in front. He played over 1,000 snaps. Milton was second, though. 653, way over Moro Jomo was actually third, 490. Jordan Davis was fourth, 444. Because the Eagles didn't play a lot of five-man fronts in the second half. So, because they didn't have to.
Right.
But that's a player, Jordan Davis, that if you don't have, you're going to notice it really freaking quickly. Because if you need it and you don't have it, it becomes an issue.
Today, I believe, John, correct me if I'm wrong, today is the day where you can start to franchise tag players. Is that right? Yeah. So I don't think the Eagles will be in any of those discussions.
Do not use the franchise tag.
What I'm saying is, I do wonder. Like, let's just assume Josh Sweat is gone for a second, which I think is probably likely at this point. I don't think Howie's just going to replace that through the draft. I think he's going to try and get a name in here. I think he's going to want a better player to come in here, not a project that you take in the draft. I'm sure he's going to do that too, but is there a trade option? Is there a player like that Howie would make a move for? I don't really see many free agents, John. I mean, I don't see many free agents. So.
I haven't really delved into the free agents yet,
not great.
To be honest.
I'll tell you that.
But there's always a guy. I would look at a 24, 25-year-old guy.
There's not many of them.
Coming off his sprint. No, I mean, he might not have played that the Eagles see a ceiling in, that maybe hasn't gotten an opportunity elsewhere, or that or the splash route, which is Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, that type of player. Which is more unlikely, I would say. But everybody's going to be hyper-focused on Myles until something happens with him. But yeah, I wouldn't, and I'll look it up in the break when we go to break. But I mean, there's got to be somebody,
Well, there's some guys. I mean, there's like Dante Fowler. You can get like Omeni.
I wouldn't look at the older guys. That's one of the things. Look, guys, I get the big name trap, and I say this every year. I already got the Raheem Mostert talk. Could the Eagles bring in Raheem? He's going to be 33 in April. I mean, I get you heard of him.
Oh, Johnny Mac.
I mean, focus on guys coming off their first contract, their rookie contract is how I would describe it. And maybe they're not proven now, but maybe the Eagles see something in them. But I will say,
not many of those guys, John. I'm looking.
No, I'm of PFF's top 100, Josh Sweat's the only edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean. Holy shit. I mean, there's Azeez Ojulari, who's
there's a player the Eagles like. There's a perfect example, though.
There you go.
They liked him coming out.
Then there's Ayo Odeingbo from Indianapolis. He's
there. 25. You go. Make my life more difficult.
Joseph Osai from the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, there's for the younger guys. I mean, there's not many of them.
Azeez Ojulari is 24.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought him up. I mean, he's going to be 25 in June. That right there, that might be the guy.
There you go, baby.
I mean, they liked him coming out. He's a freaking Georgia guy. You take him away from not that the Giants, but you take another guy away from the Giants.
And
there you go. That's a good name.
Money for a guy like that, $8 million.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, you're not going to break the bank. It's not Bryce Huff level. So, I mean, a little bit undersized. So, how many undersized guys you want? That could. I'm not. I'm just spitballing here, but
yeah, no,
that's the exact guy I'm talking about, though. From
someone like that, right?
25, hasn't played a ton, has some upside. Eagles liked him coming out in the draft. Tremendous athlete, so they like that part of it. That's what you're trying to do in free agency, not bringing Raheem Mostert to back up Saquon Barkley.
What do you think they're going to do at running back? I think they're going to bring somebody in. Obviously, with Kenny Gainwell probably out the door.
Yeah, I mean, Will Shipley's the guy right off the bat. They drafted him to sort of replace Kenny as the running back too, so he'll just take the step up. But yeah, you still need Ty Davis-Price is a guy on the practice squad all year. Former third-round pick of San Francisco. I broke my own rule. He might get a chance. He's got to catch the ball better, though.
That's a tough rule to break, by the way, that your rule that you just broke. It's a tough one to not break.
I know. Well, because so many people do it.
Well, I'm just
saying. In other words, he's Ojulari.
Way to say he's not a rookie. He's drafted in the third.
He was a 2021 second-round selection.
Right. You can use the year, but if
he's not,
it's hard.
I'm just saying that's my editor out. Like if you're writing about it, it's not that big of a deal when you're talking about it. But if you're writing about it, and like if somebody wants to write about the Eagles, because I get so many people, that's one of the things that drives me crazy as an editor. He's not a former second-round pick. He's a second-round pick. I'm talking about Azeez Ojulari. We were just talking about. He was a 2021 second-round pick. It's just a pet peeve of mine.
No,
a good editor, is going to murder you for that. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, that's good to know, but I will say it is tough to break because it just makes sense that if you're not talking about a rookie, you say former. But I get where you're coming from. Once you're a second-round pick, you're always a second-round pick. So I understand. All right, John. Look, a lot of interesting things here in the offseason. There's not that many free agents, at least I don't think so. Now, Howie will be a player on some of them, I'm sure, but we'll see what they end up doing on some of them, John. I mean, I told you around, I was looking at some of those average annual values, and we just kind of talked about some of them. If those average annual values for Zack Baun are correct, I feel like Zack Baun's going to be back. 12 million,
I've always felt he's going to be back. I mean, I think Howie knows he needs to bring him back. I'm not even concerned about Zack Baun.
Yeah, but Howie can't stop the Jaguars coming in with 20 million.
Well, he can if he signs him before. I think there's on both sides. I think, Zack realizes what this organization did for him. So I think that's part of it. I would be stunned if he gets to March 12th and is a free agent. If he gets to March 12th, yeah, the Eagles might be in a little trouble. But I don't think that's going to happen.
It's 22 days away, everybody. 22 days away from the NFL start of free agency. We are 9 days away from the NFL Combine, and we are 65 days away from the NFL Draft. So a lot of excitement, John. I love this time of the year when you're got the shaking and baking and the moving and the drafting and the free agents and all these things. So a lot of stuff. We'll see what the Eagles end up doing on a lot of these things, but definitely a lot of questions, especially for a Super Bowl football team.
Yeah, there always is, though. I mean, there's less questions for the Eagles than anybody else.
Yeah, and the good thing is, even all the people I talk about, you look around and you're like, this core is still very much intact and on both sides of the ball. I mean, there's a couple guys you want to get signed, but offense, we all know where the offense stands. I mean, everybody's under contract there except for one guard, basically, and a backup running back. And then you're looking at the defense, and yeah, you got Baun, you got Milton, you got Sweat, you got some guys, but you still have Jordan, you still have Jalen Carter, you still have Nolan Smith, you still have the entire secondary under contract. You got your 2 rookie cornerbacks who played unbelievable this year. You got all the core pieces that you need to build around. So Eagles are still in really good shape, but they do have some pieces to fill in, and we'll see how they do it.
Yeah, and that's Howie's job, and so I think that's why everybody's pretty comfortable. The Eagles have one of the better GMs in the NFL, to say the least, and none of this is unique. You look at some of the other teams and some of the decisions they have to make, and they're far more pressing and far more difficult than the Eagles. So, you talk about Slay. If you lose Slay, if you have to lose Slay, and something's got to be done if you want to keep them. The fact that you say, well, what are you going to do? The fact that you have multiple options. You can play Cooper outside. Maybe Ringo takes a step forward. Maybe you bring back Isaiah Rodgers on a 2-year deal. He's another guy who's going to show loyalty to this organization from taking a chance on him when nobody else would. They how many times do I say how he's good at the contingencies on the show? He's got a bunch of contingencies.
Yeah,
He's
good at contingencies, no doubt about it. We'll see how it all plays out. Let's go to our super chat here. Sasha, appreciate it. Any super chats on the off season, we'll be taking it. I'll ask Johnny Mack your questions. So appreciate you, Sasha. Appreciate everybody listening right now. Don't forget to hit that like button. We've been slacking on the likes. Let's get that like button up. We appreciate all you guys for being here. Good stuff this morning on Bird 365. Sasha R says, how much do you believe having Stout makes signing Zack a higher priority than Becton due to the fact that he has longer resume developing solid O-lines? No disrespect to Vic, since he also put Zack where he shined. It's a fair question.
Well, Zack's just better. Zack's a higher priority because Zack's better.
Bigger impact.
He's a playmaking machine.
Yeah, he is.
It has nothing to do with Stoutland or Big.
Yeah, but Howard doesn't sign linebackers, John. So he's going out of his way too.
Yeah, but he's never had a linebacker like this. If he lets him walk, I'll entertain that. For years I said, well, and the Eagles aren't going to draft a running back. The Eagles aren't going to. I said, well, they do have outliers, because I knew the outliers. Now, I had never heard about outliers at linebacker. So this is the outlier at linebacker. He proved it on the field.
Right.
Now, if he does and says, you know what, it's too expensive, I'm going to let him walk, then I'm going to be on here that morning ripping him to high hell. Say, yeah, look, you just saw the impact he had on this team. You just saw it.
Right.
There's no projection. There's no evaluation. You saw it. This is the outlier. So I don't care about what happened in the past. They wouldn't take a running back. They wouldn't take a running back. They wouldn't take a running back. They would have taken McCaffrey. They would have taken Bijan a little bit later. They always had outliers. Turns out Saquon was an outlier in their mindset, and they were correct about that.
Yep.
If he sees what he saw with Zack Baun and he doesn't sign him, yeah, then he's got a block. But the fact that you're not taking a linebacker at 25 or Patrick Queen, I know Jody was a big Patrick Queen. All right, Patrick Queen can go, sail a boat. He's a good player, but who cares? Not a difference maker. You just saw a difference maker at linebacker. You saw Fred Warner. You saw, to be honest, he was even better than Roquan.
Yeah, he was.
The only guy I put in the same category is Fred Warner. That's it.
Now,
this guy's an outlier.
John, here's the other thing, though, that's going to be in Howie's mind. There's a term you always use here on the show, a regression to the mean. That was the first year that Zack Baun's ever done anything like that. Now, it's the first year he's been put in that position, but how much does that impact the contract? It's a one-year guy, you know. You signed Roquan Smith, you've been seeing it for
Well, I
4
think it
years. You
impacts it
signed Fred
from
Warner, it's a career. I mean, Zack Baun's got one great year. John, last offseason, you used to say something, and I 100% agreed with you. Howie has devalued the linebackers too much. It's not, the pendulum has shifted. It's gotten too much. We came into the year with a hopeful third-round player in Nakobe Dean, the hype of Devin White, and the hype of Zack Baun, which before he was Zack Baun was
there was no hype.
there was no hype.
There was no hype.
You know, I don't know how much does that factor into it.
Well, it's factoring as you see some of the things. I mean, you know, if Zach's getting $13 million, $13.33 million, it's because he's only done it for 1 year. So that'll factor in on to the Eagles' advantage, if anything. As far as him regressing to the mean, yeah, do I expect him to have this type of year next year? No, to be honest. But I don't think he's going to become a bad player. You know, one of the things he's only done it, well, he never played. There's two part of it. He never played the position before.
Right.
He was never given the opportunity. Sometimes guys just need an opportunity. Everything he showed from athleticism to football IQ translates to this is a good player. You know, this is not a guy who's going to turn into a bad player. You don't turn into the 5th best defensive player in football, and he's probably better than that, to be honest. Probably should have been higher. I think I had him 3rd, but I forget. You don't turn into that player just by mistake. And the consistency. This is not splash play 1 week, 4 bad weeks, splash play. This isn't. He made a ton of splash plays, and often, you know, C.J. Gardner-Johnson his first time here. Like, C.J. was a lot better this year than he was in 2022 because he was more consistent. But most people would probably tell you he was better in 2022 because he had all the splash plays. He had 6 interceptions. He had 6 this year, but he had 6 in 12 games that year. He was making plays all over the place, but he was also missing coverages. He wasn't the greatest tackler. He improved that part of his game. This guy wasn't, he was consistent from week 1 through the Super Bowl. Is he going to have the same type of year? Probably not. But is he going to be a bad player? No. He's going to be a top 10 linebacker because he's just too good. And yeah, I'm paying that. And how he better pay it. And I think he knows he has to pay it. You're muted, Zander.
Got to be interesting to see what happens there. Sasha R., thank you, brother. We appreciate that. Super chat, good stuff there. John, just looking at some of the list, all right, of the other names, and I just want to rattle off a couple of them to you and see kind of where you stand. We talked about Kenny Gainwell. I don't anticipate he'll be back. You look at guys a little bit further down the roster, Britton Covey, Ben Van Sumeren, Isaiah Rodgers, Jack Driscoll, Oren Burks, Fred Johnson, Raven Clark, but he's older. I don't see it with him. Any of those names you think that will be returning here? You know, Ben Van Sumeren's an interesting one. Isaiah Rodgers is an interesting one.
Well,
Oren
number
Burks,
one,
I think, is an interesting one with Nakobe Dean's injury.
Yeah, Oren Burks, I would say. There's different. I mean, there's unrestricted. Like Britton's restricted.
Restricted, right? And Ben is I think
Ben is exclusive.
Right? Yeah.
So Ben's going to be back. There's no issues. Restricted as far as, you know, Britton Covey, he's going to be unrestricted because they're not going to tender him coming off the injury, unfortunately, for Britton. So he will eventually become unrestricted. But of the guys, you know, Kenny and Oren, I would say lead the second level. And I will say this about Kenny Gainwell. Nick Sirianni loves him. Jalen Hurts loves him. So that's me.
And Howie loves him, I think.
I think everybody loves him. I think the organization loves him. But at the same time, he's not going to play a lot here with Saquon, understandably. So he probably wants to go somewhere to have a bigger opportunity, but he hasn't really proved himself to a degree where somebody's going to pay a lot of money at a position people don't pay a lot of money to.
Yeah.
So he might be back just from that standpoint, but I would lean against it. I'd be under 50% just because he probably wants the chance to play a little bit more would be my guess.
It's a shame.
then
I'm looking for a guy. I'm looking for a little bit of a backup running back who can have a bigger role next year. To simply because I don't think you want Saquon Barkley having that many touches again. So I don't know. Has Kenny Gainwell earned that level of a contract? If I'm not going to go Lions level where you have Jameer and David, but maybe a little bit of a lesser extent to what they do there, and get a guy that can take some of those snaps away. Kenny didn't take them away this year. I don't think he's going to take them away next year.
No, I don't think he's going to take him away, and I don't think anybody's going to take him away. I don't think
You
that
don't think
player
they're gonna go with
exists.
that double running back
No,
style?
no. They're going to run Saquon Barkley. They proved that this year they'll manage him during the week. I asked this question to Nick. Upside down is very consistent with it. Their load management happens during the week. He did nothing in practice for basically the second half of the season.
Right.
And on game day, if they need him, that's one of those things I always get the Fletcher Cox stuff. Jim Schwartz used to say that all the time. We got to get some reps off Fletcher Cox. And then you get in the game and you need him to win the game.
Right. It's hard to take him out.
Yeah.
Man. Hard to take
And that's
him
the
out.
thing. Nobody's taking snaps away from Saquon Barkley. If he's healthy, he's playing. And
a couple weeks, a couple months, a month or two ago, you called Jahmyr Gibbs the best running back in football, or one of them, and I agree with you.
Yeah, he's one of them, but
it's
different.
Taken away from him because they have the right setup in terms of, Sonic and Knuckles, I guess, as they call it.
Yeah, well, but different is he? Because I'm talking about well-rounded. Jim. One of the things about Gibbs is, good luck covering him. Saquon's not that guy in the passing game, but as a runner, Saquon's much more equipped to handle 800 carries like he had this year than Jahmyr Gibbs is. So they need more of a. With Saquon, it's guys built like brick. He's 230. He can take the pounding. Now, eventually, everybody gets beat up.
Right.
And again, what are we talking about, though, here? They signed him to a 3-year deal. If you get 3 years out of Saquon Barkley at the level he played last year, and it's similar to Zack Baun, he's not going to have the season he had this year. It's almost impossible. He had the best rushing season in NFL history. You think he's going to break his own record next year? The odds are not good on that. I think a lot of people are probably fired up about it, but the odds are not good on that. So you run him as much as you can and till the wheels fall off. That's the ugly part of football. Nobody's taking away reps from Saquon Barkley. No, that's just not going to happen.
Do you think the Eagles will reward Saquon Barkley with a restructured contract this offseason?
They might do something just from a PR standpoint, but maybe guarantee some of the money in the third year.
Yeah,
I'd have to look at the contract. They might do something, but it's
I thought they might do something, and like you just said, add some guaranteed money that third year, maybe give him a little bit of a bonus of some sort. I don't know. I know Howie likes to look. One of the things I think that Howie's done really well recently is this is a business, and players want to get paid. Players want to be taken care of. So I think Howie's done a good job at showing the rest of the league. If you produce in Philly, if you're a good player, if you are a leader in our locker room, if you do things right here, you get rewarded here. And I wouldn't surprise me if Howie did something like that for Saquon, but I know it's a reach with the running back.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree with you. He might do something like that, but it's not going to be significant. They're not going to extend him by 5 years or they might give him some more incentives just to make him a little bit happier. his contract's already massive from a running back perspective. You could argue he should be the highest paid running back. I don't know how you get him there, but like I said, he's already got. So I'm looking at, his third year is pretty much insignificant.
Yeah, it's basically an added year, right? No, is there even any guaranteed money in that year?
There's the potential outs, obviously, as most contracts with Howie it's this season after this season, but and that was and you have 4 Boyd years on top of it, so that's what the Eagles do. They might put an extra year on this deal with a bunch of guaranteed money to make him happy. Might. So that wouldn't surprise me. And you have the 4 Boyd years at the end.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing there with Saquon Barkley. I thought it was an interesting one. John, we'll get to our first commercial break. I do want to thank Fly Eagles Fly for becoming a member. Fly Eagles Fly, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Or woman, whoever you are, I appreciate that very much. Thanks for becoming a member, supporting the channel. We'll have a giveaway today on the show, after the show. All right, I got a Saquon Barkley Super Bowl patch jersey. All right, so we'll be giving that away. So if you're not a member,
how many Saquon jerseys have we given away this year? Do we have an official total?
What a lot more than what we predicted at the start of the year with, going over the 120.
125, I thought was pretty significant. Turns out,
but that wasn't the only way I gave away a jersey. I bought like 50 jerseys. I've had like 80 winners, John, on the channel this year. So we've given away a lot of stuff. It's good. Rashid Mixon checks in. How does 4 years, $50 million deal for Baun, draft defensive tackle, edge, the first 2 picks, sign a sack mercenary to a 1-year deal, set for Steen and Ringo, and round out the rest of the draft sound? Well, Rashid, that sounds perfect, man. If everything goes exactly according to plan, but I don't know if it all works. It doesn't normally all work out that good, Rashid. But John, your thoughts on that?
Say that again. My mouse just died on me, so I was trying to figure that out. But say that again.
You guys got a dead mouse over there.
I got a dead mouse.
Johnny Max.
We got to go to a break so I can get a battery.
All right, I'll get to a break. Rashid says, how does 4 years, $50 million deal sit for Baun? Draft a defensive tackle on the edge with your first 2 picks. Sign a sack mercenary to a 1-year deal. Set for Steen and Ringo, and round out the rest of the draft.
Well, let me get to the break and I'll get back to that. That's a lot of stuff.
Sounds like the perfect offseason, man. Yeah. Sounds like the perfect offseason there. It doesn't normally all work out that good, Rashid, but we'll see how it all plays out. Let's get to our commercial break. Johnny Mac struggling over there with the mouse. I'll get to a break here. I appreciate it.
I gotta keep that straight. There's like 15 things there, so I gotta get it right.
Oh, yeah, it's on your tabs and stuff. All right, everybody, let's hit that like button for us. We appreciate all of you guys for watching and got a good crowd in here today. Let me tell you guys about the great people at BetUS, and then we will get to our commercial break. I'm losing my voice from that parade. It hit me late. Saturday and Sunday I was all good, and then Monday I woke up and my voice is all messed up. Tuesday, here we are, still the same thing. Go check them out, everybody. You can see the promo code on your screen. It's BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa, and the promo code is YouTube150. Gives you a 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit, and you get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa, and use that promo code YouTube150. We appreciate all you guys tuning in. We'll be right back on Birds 365.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports, a Tuesday edition of the show as we move into the offseason, 9 days away from the NFL Combine, 22 days away from free agency, and 65 days away from the NFL Draft. So moving right along here, we just gave you guys a good update, good kind of work into the offseason in the opening segment about some free agents, some roster moves, draft picks, all sorts of different things. We hit it all there in that opening segment. A lot of pressing things, though, John, with this team going into the offseason, and a lot of stuff to deal with. But we'll see how it all shakes out. I think there's overall, I think they're in a pretty good place coming off a Super Bowl. A better place this year than they were in 22, in my estimation.
I would say so. I mean, you're always better. And they're so much younger. I mean, that was the thing coming off. They knew they had to get younger on defense coming off the Super Bowl in 2023. Now they're very young on defense. So, yeah, I would say they're better off coming off. But now that them back up, you were given the calendar. We're now 1 day. My mouse is back. So. We got a working mouse, so I can look at this now. 4 years, $50 million for Ball, and that's about right. At least when you hear from the PFF projection, I think it might be a little bit low. Eagles probably would like to keep it at 3 years, somewhere in that 14, 15 range. I think he's going to get a little bit more. Draft defensive front, I'm with you 1,000%. That's what I said. That would be this to me. This is a foundational draft. When you're picking that low, you tend to lean, and plus it's a deep draft for defensive front people. I think that helps as well. Sack mercenary, we were just talking about it. It's easy to say who's the sack mercenary.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if that player exists. I know a lot of people are going to go Khalil Mack. He's 34.
No, I don't want Khalil
He's
Mack.
got a history with Vic Fangio. He's 34.
I don't want Khalil Mack.
And he's still going to be expensive because bunch of dumb teams out there. Hassan Reddick is going to be back out there. You want to go back down that route? Maybe.
No, I
You
don't.
did it with CJ.
Well, I brought him up yesterday on the National Football Show, and I don't know. I could see it, but
They did it with CJ. He's 31. At least he's not Khalil Mack. Dexter Lawrence is 33. And these are all contracts that have to be voided, but they will be voided. Chase Young.
I brought him up on. Boy, I tell you what, Joe, I brought him up on the afternoon show. You would have thought I brought up a world-class felon or something. The way I got him. No. I'm like, all right, relax. He's 25 years old. That's all. The only reason I said it.
Yeah, it's funny how things change. Yeah, but I don't know if that player exists. And, maybe after things did work with CJ on the second chance, maybe the Eagles will envision that. And this is all, assuming Josh Sweat is gone, which I would. So I don't know if that is the way to go. And then, I don't get the Steen and Ringo part, but, as young players, sometimes you have to rely on them. And if you lose Becton, you got to rely on Steen. And if you lose Slay, as many have speculated, you may have to rely on Ringo. But and that's one thing. Other than Bryce Huff, is there another move that didn't work out for the Eagles this year? I don't know. It's one of those special years for Howie, so that's probably not going to happen again.
Yeah, we'll see how all those things shake out. John, I want to ask you about restructures. Any names jump off that you think would be restructured in this offseason? Howie's always really good at that. I want to get ahead of the game and kind of alert everybody to who Howie might be interested in.
Well, Slay is number one. I mean, he wants to play. He played at a high level. He's not coming back under his existing deal, which doesn't, from two perspectives, there's no guaranteed money left. So he's not going to play for that. It's similar to what happened last time when he was almost out the door to Baltimore before
Right.
Dom gave him the call. So, I mean, that you have to do something there if you want him back. But I think a lot of people presume that they don't want him back. You just talked about Saquon. That's somebody you might want to reward. Does Brandon Graham want to come back because of what happened? I doubt it. I think they're going to turn the page, but we'll see about that.
I don't know. There was some speculation based on his parade comments.
Wow, parade comments. Half of them are drunk. I wouldn't put too much stock in.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I know Brandon Graham, man, and he's one of those guys, John. He's not going to want to hang up the cleats, brother.
Well, it's a two-way street, man.
Yeah,
I mean, from the Eagles' perspective,
you're talking about an edge rusher needy team.
Yeah, I know. I think it's time. I mean, I think it's time.
I'm with you, but I'm just saying, if he wanted to come back, I wouldn't turn him. I wouldn't be upset at that at all. If you remember, John, there was a lot of people, not you, but a lot of people out there who were upset that we brought Brandon Graham back last year. They were upset that he came back last year, wanted to turn the page on him then. So I think he was a big impact on the team, though, man.
I mean, it's such a perfect ending. I mean, from Brandon's perspective.
I know it is. It really is. It's true.
But from the Eagles' perspective, too, I think, yeah. I mean, you always want to keep legendary players around as much as possible. But, at some point, unfortunately, it's a young man's game, and you want to get younger, and you want to get and you want to keep going down. Could he help? Yeah, because he can still play a little bit, but I don't know. I just think it's time.
I agree.
No other way.
I don't think it's not. Yeah, I agree. I was just wondering if if he did want to come back, maybe how
If he did want to come back, and the Eagles, out of deference to what he's done for the organization, it'd be similar to this year, which is 1 year, $5 million, bunch, maybe a couple incentives, which I'm sure he'd be willing to go for, but so it wouldn't cripple them, but I do think at some point you got to get younger. And they saw, what happened with Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. I mean, at some time you got to pull the trigger. And sometimes, that was Howie's big criticism in 2023 is not playing those guys as much as potentially you should have, the younger players. And this year they had to pull the trigger, and it worked. And now, those are two guys who are going into next season that are going to be foundational players and have to play a lot of snaps. And they're probably more prepared because of the snaps they played this year.
What the hell are they going to do with Bryce Huff?
They're gonna play him, and I guarantee he's better than this year.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't agree.
Well, I'm assuming he's healthy, number one.
I mean, I know regression to the mean is something we just talked about, and there's a better chance he does more this year than he doesn't do more than he did this year. I understand you win that, but
he's gonna
good night. This guy, he looked like he was checked out on this team.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, I get to see him
running off in the NFC conference game ahead of Vic Fangio. He doesn't even want to celebrate with the rest of his fucking teammates who are all out there. He's the first guy in the locker room, and he's sprinting by Vic Fangio. He wants nothing to do with this team, John.
Well, I'm sure he's not happy the way the year
fucking play better. You got $18 million to play, dude.
But the dude had surgery. Like, he didn't have to come back. Like, I mean, no offense, Anna, I don't get people when they go down this route. Like, he's working his ass off to get back. Now, partially, he could have said, all right, my wrist is done. I can't use my hand. I'm done. It's what he could have done. And he could have spent the year on IR and just
would have been no difference. Would have been no difference.
That's fine, but he didn't. He's trying to get back to help the team.
Yeah, but what do you want me to do about that? I'm analyzing his play on the team. I don't
because that's what people
to fucking feel bad for the guy.
I'm not saying feel bad. I'm saying he checked out on the team. Checking out on the team isn't fucking working your ass off to get back so you can try to contribute. And the fact that you couldn't, maybe they should have shut him down. For his own good.
Maybe, but I'm not going to thank the guy for not robbing a bank. He's making
I didn't say thank you. I think fans don't realize the physical impact of professional football. So the assumption is if you're out there, you're healthy. How many times do I say this? I bring up the Nate Gary conversation. People used to shit on that kid all the fucking time. Wasn't a very good football player. I get it. But, Jim Schwartz and Ken Flagiol loved him. And I would tell that to people all the time. And they go, why do these fucking guys love Nate Gary? Because they had no fucking linebackers because of Howie. And because they needed him to play, and he played an entire fucking season with a sports hernia in immense pain. So they had tremendous respect for him. That's what I'm saying. That's the part I'm saying. So when you sit there and say,
I understand that.
A guy's 100 guys out there playing, he's 100. Nobody's 100% at the end of the season. When AJ was dealing with that knee injury, well, he's out there. Well, he's clearly not himself. Because they're out there doesn't mean they're 100%. And Bryce Huff wasn't 100%. And if he wanted to check out on the team, that's the part I have an exception with. Because I know he didn't want to check out on the team. And I know he fought back from surgery. You can't make up surgery to get back to the team. Did it work? No, it didn't work.
That's fair.
But that's all I'm saying.
The perception isn't great. And I'll use my own quote. Perception's not always reality. I understand that. But perception wasn't good with the way the season ended.
He got paid $51 million to be a double-digit sack guy, and he didn't produce. I get that part of it. I used to have this argument with Jody all the time with Derek Barnett because he was a first-round pick. He's forever a first-round pick. He didn't live up to his expectation. If he got drafted in the 4th round, people would be fine with Derek Barnett because he's a decent player. But he wasn't. So the expectations of Bryce Huff were what they were.
Okay, well, we can look back. I don't want to look back. I'm going to look forward. This is an edge rusher needy team with Josh Sweat on his way out the door, with Brandon Graham retiring. You pay $18 million right now to Bryce Huff. Are you comfortable going into the season with him as a prominent role edge rusher on the football team? If I'm Howie Roseman and my thought process is I want to return to the Super Bowl, I look at Bryce Huff as a liability and somebody I want to improve on. I don't know. Maybe you don't see it that way. Maybe you think he's good enough to replace Josh Sweat. I don't think that based on what he did this season.
Well, yeah, I don't have any problem with the assumption that he's going to replace Josh Sweat. It's hard to envision that coming off this particular season. Unfortunately, if you talk about misevaluation, that's the number one and maybe the only misevaluation of the Eagles in the previous offseason. He didn't live up to what they thought he would be. Unfortunately, they signed him to that contract. I don't think they're going to be able to trade him. Yeah, I don't. They're not going to cut him. We know that. Look what Howie did for freaking James Bradbury. He didn't cut him. You really think he's going to cut him?
I don't think he's going to cut him, but I don't know.
And he talked to us before they went to New Orleans, and he was asked about Bryce Huff specifically. And he talked about sometimes the first year, and he talked about Javon Hargrave's first year, which I didn't think was fair. I said that because Javon Hargrave didn't turn into a star until the second year. That part, he wasn't great in his first year, but he wasn't terrible either. So I don't think that was a fair comparison. But sometimes it takes longer. You just learn that with Nolan Smith. And he said he's stubborn and he thinks he can play. And he said, I've seen it. That's one thing he talked about. It's what I talked about with Zack Baun.
Right.
You've now seen it with Zack Baun. Howie says, this isn't projection. I've seen this guy perform at the NFL level. That's what he said. And he thinks he can get back to that. Now, part of that is what do you expect him to say? He's not going to say, no, I'm shitting on the guy, give up on the guy. You can't.
You're also serving two masters here, right, John? I mean, because you're not wrong in what you just said about Howie, but how does Vic look at him, the guy who's got to use him? How does he fit into what Vic is trying to do defensively?
That's a fair point. And Howie's got to have discussions and say, we need this guy, get him up to speed. But sometimes that is part of the equation. But Howie also mentioned, obviously, he got hurt. When he got hurt, he was starting to come on. And for him to use his hands and be able to throw that, obviously, it was bothering him. That's why he ended up having the surgery. But I've seen it. This is Howie talking, not me. It's a little different for me in free agency and those kinds of signings than it may be with draft picks in terms of you've seen them go against guys in the NFL and do things well. And I believe in the player. That's Howie Roseman. Again, part of it is where's he going to go? He's got to give him another chance. He's getting another chance.
Yeah,
and
it's not easy. It's not an easy contract to move on from, even if you did want to.
And is he going to? Again, I go back to Nolan Smith as a rookie. Different scenario, but a lot of people were ready to give up on Nolan Smith. I wouldn't give up on him. Is all I'm saying. And his snaps before he got hurt were not terrible. Now, that's not, that's not well, but I think the assumption was he was terrible. He was not terrible. Again,
No, but we did in our weeks after those games, John, he was one of our talking points every single
Well,
week.
because he didn't get sacks.
I don't know about that.
He didn't
Sacks
get
are
sacks.
part of it, but he wasn't much of an impact on the game. Period.
Well, he was signed. He was signed to get sacks.
Yeah, but no, because I more fall with you is I don't need sacks if you're getting pressures and you're impacting the game. Josh Sweat had not many sacks.
From Vic's standpoint, Vic didn't like him as an edge setter. Vic didn't like him as a run support.
He quickly became a liability in this defense. Is that fair to say?
I don't think there was a liability on this defense.
But Vic Fangio viewed it as one.
He viewed him as a liability in run support, which he wasn't brought in to be a run support player. So to me, that doesn't even matter if he would have performed to what he was supposed to as a pass rusher.
Because it seems like Vic wanted a guy that could be more versatile, or at least that's the
I guarantee you, Vic wouldn't have liked Hassan Reddick as a run support player.
No, he wouldn't have.
He wouldn't have.
And look, Nolan Smith has done a good job in run support.
Nolan Smith, Nolan Smith was a very good run support player in college. He was a better run support player than pass rusher. I think people don't realize that at Georgia. So he's always had a knack for it, despite the fact that he doesn't have a ton of size. But that was the issue with Vic. And again, PFF, not that they're the be all end all, but they graded 119 edge rushers this year. That's the guys 119 guys who played enough. Bryce Huff was 39th. That's not bad. But he wasn't what he was expected to be. But to Howie's point, he's not giving up on him. Now, would I count on him? To your question, no. Can he count on him? I don't think so. Will he? He might be forced to.
I don't doubt you for 1 second that Howie is stubborn and wants to make it work. Where I look at it is the disconnect between you talk about it all the time, the two different jobs that a coach has versus what a GM has. Howie's like, I paid this guy and I believe in him, and I'm going to be stubborn because I gave him that contract and I'm going to give him that chance. Vic Fangio's already looking down roster right now to try and find a guy who can be a viable replacement for Josh Sweat. He's looking at Vic Fangio, I would bet, is looking at Jalix Hunt as a bigger role next year than Bryce Huff, if all things stay the same. And Huff returns and Jalix is here and Nolan is here. I would bet Vic Fangio is going to use Jalix Hunt more than Bryce Huff.
Well, you still need Bryce Huff. So, I mean,
oh my God. This Bryce Huff will snuffle it.
If you lose Josh Sweat again, which the presumption is, you're still going to need Bryce Huff. Or you're going to have to draft somebody, or you're going to have to trade somebody.
By the way, one of the reasons you won't be able to sign Josh Sweat is probably because of that Bryce Huff contract.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm glad you're at least bringing up something that Howie did wrong, because everybody's like, Howie doesn't do anything wrong. So,
well, he does stuff wrong, but you're always going to do stuff wrong as a GM. I think that's important.
Exactly.
To point out. You're never going to shoot 100%.
The point of the injury is understated. Now, he was disappointing before that because he wasn't getting sacks and he wasn't starting and he wasn't getting the most reps because he couldn't play run supports. I get that, but he wasn't a bad football player. That's the part I disagree with. Did he live up to the billing? No, not even close.
I think he's a bad football player in this specific defense. I'm not saying he's a bad football player. I'm saying for what Vic wants his edge rushers to do. Remember, sometimes you got to drop into the flats in Vic Fangio's D. He doesn't do any of those things. So Vic is like, okay, maybe one down a series I can use you, maybe. And I'd maybe rather just use a more polished player.
Yeah, I mean, Howie and him definitely have to have some discussions in the offseason.
For sure.
Because, one of the few things, and I think people that watch this show know I'm pretty high on Vic Fangio. But if I were to nitpick about one thing is sometimes you got to use players that maybe
You don't love.
You don't love.
Right.
Thank you. Sometimes you have to. Everything can't be perfect.
Right.
Now, it was close to as perfect
a
as
little
possible.
bit of lenience on both sides. I get it.
Yeah. And now it was as close to perfect as possible in the Super Bowl, and everything was clicking. But there's going to be moments. And, if this guy can rush the passer and do nothing else, then let him rush the passer and do nothing else. And let Howie live with the repercussions of, paying a guy that much money for being a one-trick pony. But he's got to be able to rush the passer, and to do that, he's got to get help. You can't rush the passer with one hand. I mean, I don't think I don't know if people know, but your hands are pretty important.
Yeah, and you remember Hassan Reddick when he came back the year after his big season, and he had a slow start with the cast on the hand, and then he kind of exploded after that.
And he probably shouldn't have came back, but he tried to come back and made him look worse. And but again, maybe the Eagles look at that differently and say, all right, this guy tried to work his ass off to come back.
I don't think that changes anything on Vic Fangio, who's like, this guy's a stiff.
Yeah.
At least for my defense, he is.
By the way, Vic would never say that about any player.
Well, no, they're all great players. I think that goes in every conversation.
But I mean, the general, to be a coach in this league, even a hard-nosed coach like Vic Fangio, you can't shit on people, especially in this era. Maybe you could back in the 70s when everybody was treated like poorly, and Bill Parcells, even up to Bill Parcells' era when he was called Terrell Owens she. In this era of football player,
bunch of buttercups, John.
But you said buttercups. I'm not going to disagree with that assessment, but you have to be relentlessly optimistic.
It's not just a football thing, my friend. That's a world thing. There's a lot of buttercups in the world, Johnny.
You have to be you have to be relentlessly optimistic with this generation of players. Relentlessly optimistic to the point of it being unrealistic, but I digress.
We'll see what they end up doing with him. I do understand the complexity of it with Howie. I just, I don't know. I'm one of the people, if you're fighting for a common goal and somebody ain't with you or somebody's not the right fit, just move on, man. Just move on. But I don't know. I get it. It's a lot more complex than I just made it out to be. Let's get to a couple chats here. Big Trag checks in. JAKIB Nation, what's up, Big Trag? Appreciate you, brother. Brian Pumper checking in. His return after I had to rip him yesterday. What's up, Pump? Stop it, J-Mac. Snuffleupagus. I don't know. I guess you're talking about Huff.
Snuffleupagus.
We've come up with all sorts of things. Was getting one-on-one blocked by tight ends and wide receivers. Motherfucker was doing spin moves and quicksand.
I'm gonna guess Brian's not breaking down every piece of film, but probably highlights or lowlights in this instance. But agree to disagree.
He did have those couple moments, but I understand. Abe says, stop drinking the bum juice with Huff the no puff.
Hey, that's your GM. Those were his comments, not mine. That's your GM. That's your beloved GM who you all shit on. And what I told you was really good. And now think he doesn't make mistakes. That was your GM's quotes, not mine.
Yeah, there's a lot more context to it than that. I mean, he's been a good overall great GM, and I think he's been my favorite part about Howie is that he learns from his mistakes. You're never going to shoot 100% though from the field. I'm not even mad about the Huff move, but you have to look at it and analyze because it does have. You always say it. Every action has a reaction. There's unintended consequences to every move, and missing on Huff wasn't just a player production thing on the field. You're now looking at free agents that. You paid a lot of money to Bryce Huff, John. You can't sign Josh Sweat.
All I'm trying to say is you have to salvage the situation. Howie realizes that because Howie's got the job, he's got to understand it. He's got to realize it. He's got to try to make the best of the situation of the misevaluation. Now, next year they can move on if nothing improves. This year, I gave you his quotes. He said he's stubborn. He said he's seen him go against guys in the NFL and do things well. He said, I believe in the player. That's Howie Roseman. That's not John McMullen. And I'm the one who told you Howie Roseman was a top 5 GM before you all thought he was a top 5 GM. Let him do his work.
Yeah, you also told me how Bryce Huff was going to have quite a bit of sacks this year, John. He didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Forget the sacks. He didn't even get
Well,
pressure.
you know,
do a whole
hey,
lot.
look, no offense. You can have Zander, Krause, and the entire chat, and I'll take Howie Roseman and John McMullen, and we'll build a better fucking football team. And if that's cocky, so be it. But we'll build a better fucking football team. That's what I'll say about that.
Okay, I never.
And I'm very, very.
I'm not
confident.
analyzing building a football team, John. I'm talking about Bryce Huff.
I'm very, very confident because there's an emotional aspect to it that you guys can't get past.
What emotions am I talking about? He was $18 million.
You see a player,
and he was a nothing burger for this team.
You see a player and don't get immediate gratification, and it's over.
It's over at all, John. We're analyzing what the guy did for the team this year and moving forward in the offseason. You're putting me in a box based on what other people believe. I am not other people. I'm not emotional
I'm not emotional about I'm not Howie Roseman.
I'm looking at what he did for the team. He didn't do much. So what do you do as a GM who's balancing keeping him, balancing the contract with a coach who doesn't think the player is good for his scheme?
Okay, A, you don't have that information. B, the GM, I'm giving you his exact quotes, which are on the record, has already gave his assessment of the situation. And the GM's a pretty proven guy, number one. Number two, as far as the, you bring up I thought Huff was going to get double-digit sacks as some kind of slam. Well, you called Nolan Smith a fucking bust. So if you're going to be that,
if you want to pull out individual circumstances of when each of us were wrong, we can sit here and have an 8-hour show on me saying when you were wrong and you saying when I was wrong. We talk about football for 2 hours a day. We're both going to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Which I say all the time. And I said yesterday, but you were the one trying to dunk it. That's the only reason I bring it up. Yeah, I think Bryce Huff can still produce in the NFL. I still think that because the same thing Howie said, I've already seen it. So I think he could produce in the NFL. He's already done it. Now,
the NFL, I don't disagree with it. The question would be, can he produce it with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, that's a legitimate question. But my point is, if you don't get immediate gratification, it doesn't mean you pull the plug. They signed a 3-year deal with the guy. They can't get out of it for 1 more year. So they're going to try to make it work. That's good GMing.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's
you
bad.
You need a position. You need somebody at the position. He's going to be back. He's going to be healthy. I realize a lot of people want to dismiss wrist surgery, which I don't know why they want to dismiss it, but maybe that has an impact on a pass rusher. I mean, I think it's common sense, and that's the way Howie's taking it.
I think you're putting me in a little bit of a box. I never disagreed with any of those things that you just said.
Well, how many times you said this guy can't play, this guy can't do this, snuffleupagus, I bring up the wrist surgery, it's like non-existent. It doesn't matter. He didn't produce. Well, guess what? If Saquon Barkley hurt his knee this year, he wouldn't have produced. I mean, it's every player. If you're not healthy, you're probably not going to produce. Now, I think it's fair to say before that, he hadn't lived up to expectations. But before he got injured and was a short sample size, yeah, he wasn't a very good run defender. He wasn't getting home. He wasn't getting sacks. But his snaps alone, unlike what Brian Pumper said, were not bad. As the fact that PFF had him at 39 or whatever. They weren't bad. People could say at the scream, watch the film, get NFL gameplay. Look at the actual snaps from that. They weren't bad. They were NFL level snaps. Now, he was paid to be an NFL level pass rushing star. If you want to grade him against those expectations and say he didn't live up to those expectations, I'm with you 1,000%. 1,000%. He didn't live up to those expectations. The other stuff, no, I can't go along with it. It's bullshit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but even if you took the expectations out of it for a second, he wasn't an overly impactful player this year on the Philadelphia Eagles.
No,
You would
he was
agree
a-
with that.
he was
Even in
a-
the first 6 weeks.
He was a good part of the rotation. Not even good, capable part of the rotation.
Yeah, good would be a little lofty for me.
Capable part of the rotation. I don't think they had a bad aspect to this defense all year, to be honest. Because it played so well as a group, and he was part of it early in the process. Not the part that was envisioned, and you can't take expectations. I tried to do this with Jody, with Derek Barnett a million times. He couldn't get past it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obvious. I think when we talk about elevating the cover, it's obvious. He obviously didn't live up to his expectations. He didn't do shit this year, and he was this $18 million player. I'm talking about before. Also, when was the defense better, John? I mean, the defense got a lot better when he stopped playing so much. So it's like that's another thing there where you talked about Brandon Graham. And
I said the defense wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It was never bad this year, but it got a lot better after the bye week.
I mean, to assume it got better because Bryce Huff wasn't playing.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, though, when they had different guys on the field at edge, John, they were a better defense.
Well, I mean, again, it's like, Vic Fangio is the best defensive coordinator in football. I feel very comfortable saying that. I've said that pretty consistently. I said it when people were genuflecting in front of Steve Spagnuolo en route to the Super Bowl. I said he's the best defensive coordinator in football. If Brandon Graham didn't get hurt, Nolan Smith's not. You don't even know who Nolan Smith is still.
You could push back on it and say he maybe would have gotten a bigger role because of Bryce Huff.
He already had a bigger role because of Bryce Huff, not being the run support player that Vic wanted. He already had a bigger role from.
Well, there's no doubt that Nolan got a lot of snaps
from his previous role. He already had a bigger role because of Bryce Huff's. So his uptick in playing time is strictly related to Brandon Graham's injury, and then he took off with it. To his credit,
yes.
But you have the best defensive coordinator in football. He could not perceive that. And by the way, Brandon Graham was playing very well, so there's no reason to say I'm going to take Brandon Graham out, because Brandon was having, as he usually does, a very impactful season. And the same thing with Alex Hunt. The plan with Alex Hunt was to redshirt him, for lack of a better term. Howie hates that term, but for a lack of a better term, he wouldn't have played at all.
Yeah, he was a project. I mean, he was a developmental player. That's for sure.
He was forced into action because of the injuries to Brandon and Bryce Huff, and he played well, to his credit as well. Sometimes, as I said, players just need an opportunity. And in the case of what was a special season for the team as a whole, guys like Nolan Smith and Alex Hunt stepped up. And now people are feeling good about Nolan Smith and Alex Hunt moving forward because they stepped up. And they're very young players, and the presumption is it'll ascend and there'll be no hiccups, which probably isn't going to be the case, but there's always potential. But again, even somebody as savvy as Vic Fangio, wasn't ready to put those players on the field until there was injuries that forced them to put them on the field. There's a lot of things that happen in an NFL season. Howie is savvy enough to know I'm going to need this player. This player's going to be here. So you might as well try to maximize it. That's what good GMs do. And that's what he's doing. And that's what he's going to do.
I don't disagree with that at all, but I don't know what his role is going to be on this team moving forward. I mean, late in the year, I could say to you, well, Alex Hunt, who we called, who was a developmental project player, played over Bryce, but you're saying that was directly related to the surgery and the impact that had on Bryce as a player.
He was not.
not
Yeah.
100%
Not
healthy, right? So
not
it
even close.
impacted his play. So what do you think do you think he can, honestly, John, do you think he can be a contributing piece to this football team next year in the NFL?
Oh God, yeah. He was already That's what I'm saying. He was a competent piece this year before he got hurt. Now,
Is it fair to say he would have to be a little bit more than competent, because you can't go and sign another edge rusher. You can't bring back Josh Sweat. Well, you could, but the contract makes it a little bit
well,
tough.
they're going to bring in. They can't go. It's not like they're going to go into a season with Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, and Bryce Huff. I mean, you need bodies at the position. They're going to draft an edge at some point, probably within the first 2 days. They're probably going to sign one. You know, you brought up Ojulari, which was a good name. They're going to have edge rushers.
They're going to do something, yeah.
Now, you know,
And that means Bryce Huff might be headed right back to the bench.
and maybe he will, but you know, they can't trade him. They're not going to cut him.
Yeah, they're not going to trade him. What's his contract? You can't. There's no way. Even if Howie wanted to trade him, right? He couldn't really, right? Probably not.
Well, if somebody wants him, you know, a lot of people have said the Jets, you know, because
but is there like, do the Eagles get anything from trading? Do they get cap relief? Do they get anything from trading him? They probably going to eat a lot of it, right?
They let's see, trade pre-June 1st. They lose $6 million in cap space, so that's not helping them.
Yeah.
Post June 1st, they could trade him and get a little bit of cap space. But again, who's gonna sign him coming off this season? You got to see if he's healthy. B, you know, maybe it did shake him to his core from a mental standpoint. Who knows? You know, I don't know. Maybe he never recovers. But Eagles made the decision. And the most likely path forward is that he gets one more shot. And if he doesn't do anything, then you move on from him the next year. But it was a pretty significant contract. And remember, you know, because it was such a significant contract and the way the Eagles do business, they also have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 void years on the back end. So you're going to be paying for this guy in 2027 and 2028.
Yeah, we're going to be there's going to be a dead cap on Bryce Huff. We're going to be winning our 4th Super Bowl in the Joe.
So, and that's why he's talking the way he's talking. And
yeah, I get it. How he's gonna, you know, my take is more that I don't think Vic Fangio likes him, wants him, or is going to use him. And the solution moving forward is not to keep him back, not to keep him here. But
I think Vic is misunderstood. He's actually a really nice guy. He's not in the back shitting on players.
I never said that. I just think he looks at it very objectively, very logically, and says, well, I want that guy over that guy because he's going to do more for my defense. And then he goes with that player. He doesn't care about the contract or their name or any of those other things.
Yeah, that I agree with. But, you know, like Bryce would have gotten his opportunity had he not injured himself before Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt.
I do remember Vic kind of not taking shots at Bryce Huff, but wasn't super glowing in his.
No, again, it was run support related. It was run support related, and he would say, you know,
the work in progress, I think is what he used, right?
And he would also say, at one point, he said, you know, he can only rush the passer. We'll let him rush the passer. You know, and I think that's where it would have went. If he were healthy, he would have gotten the first, and I'm not saying he would have succeeded, but he would have gotten the first opportunity when Brandon got hurt to rush the passer more consistently if he had been healthy.
And then it would have taken a game, a game for Vic to move on to the next guy.
Yeah, I don't think so, but
I know we just have we have a difference of opinion on that, but that's fine. All right, we're gonna move on. Let me get to some super chats. I'm sure we're gonna have some super chats about this. Suo Blaze says, "I'd rather have Barnett on his worst day than Huff on his best." I happen to agree with that.
Well, yeah, I saw so much Derek Barnett slander, and I'm not going to say it was from Suo Blaze, but a lot of these same people shit on Derek Barnett unmercifully. So I don't necessarily believe
I was
that
never
comment.
a Barnett hater, actually. Well, I liked him because he made a big play in the Super Bowl too. Recovered the fumble, obviously.
But I mean, Derek Barnett, to the point he became such an angry person by the time he left here.
Yeah.
To the point of combative, not wanting to speak to anyone. Just
Yeah, he needed to change the scenery.
And then when you talk to people like Jeremiah Washburn, who's the Eagles' edge rusher, he's the nicest guy in the world. He's behind the scenes, he became so angry and so disenfranchised. I mean, I think people forget how much they shit on Derek Barnett.
No, I know. Yeah, no. Well, look, talk about another. You talk about this all the time. Another player that, if he was drafted in the second or third round, would have been a great success. But drafted 14 overall, and all the expectations that come that messed everything up.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's really difficult for people to forget about what he was supposed to be. And then, because at some point you got to give up and say, all right, he's not going to be Reggie White. Think about how stupid that was to begin with. Oh, he broke all Reggie White's sack records at Tennessee. Who gives a fuck?
I know, really.
Yeah, he's not going to be one of the best defensive players who ever lived. And turn in to say, oh, but you know what? He's actually a pretty helpful rotational guy. And then the second part, which was legitimate with Derek, he was a very undisciplined player, and he would take, personal fouls and things of that nature. And then he became a player who had reputation, and then it became more likely, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy to get those 15-yard penalties. And yes, it was, he needed to change the scenery. And he's still a good NFL player, and he's going to end up playing a lot of years in this league. He was drafted in 2017. So that play you mentioned in the Super Bowl, he was a rookie. And that was his best year as a rookie. So he went the adverse way, but he's already, what is that? 2017, 28, 20. He's already, this will be his 8th season in the NFL. I mean, that's not a bad run.
No, it's a great run. You kidding me? The average player plays 3 years tops.
Yeah.
All right. No Limit says another. This might be where the Barnett comparison came in. J-Mac, why do we think Huff would be productive outside of pressures? He only had 1 10-sack season and 10 sacks in 4 years. He reminds me of Derek Barnett. Well, real quick, John, before you answer, you remember all those stats outside the sacks that he had the best pressure.
Yeah, he had the best pressure. Two consecutive seasons.
Pass rush win rate and all those things.
Now, one of the things is, different philosophy, and that's where Howie and Vic, got to get on the same page. And you as a GM, and now, but even from that standpoint, the Eagles have been playing the Vic Fangio philosophy largely since Nick Sirianni got here. So Howie should know what type of players that are needed for this particular scheme by this point. And Bryce is probably better suited to be in a more aggressive Jim Schwartz style front than, say, a Vic Fangio style front, which is, again, gap and a half typically. Not that he doesn't shift, obviously, in key pass rushing situations, but it's more read and react than aggressive, which is exactly what Philadelphia hates, ironically, because this is the best defense they've had in 50 years. But yeah, it's more read and react, and he's probably not the best fit. And why Howie thought he'd be a good fit for this defense, I don't know. But I am with Howie. I think people say for 2 years he had the best pressure rate in the entire NFL. For 2 years, 2 consecutive seasons. I mean, if there's one thing you would have told me coming into this season, that Bryce Huff couldn't rush the passer, yeah, I would have laughed at you, because I already saw him rush the passer in the NFL, and it didn't work. Didn't work.
One of those things just hasn't worked here in Philly. Abe says BG had a torn tricep and was active for the Super Bowl. They did a bench. They did deactivate him, Johnny. I think that has any impact on it moving forward? I mean, that can't motivate him. That can't motivate a player.
Look, I don't think he was happy by that by any estimation. Now, I don't know what he's saying by BG had a torn triceps and played in the Super Bowl, as in, Bryce would have played. Bryce would have played. He wasn't allowed to play. They deactivated him. But to the point, yeah, Brandon is a phenomenal player. He was also out since November 24th. He'd been rehabbing for, what is it, December, 8 weeks almost. I don't understand that. Like, Jack Driscoll hurt his leg and was on a rollabout. So he's got either probably a Lisfranc injury or an Achilles injury. He wouldn't quite tell me what it is, but what he can't play in the Super Bowl. Is he trying to say one guy played in the Super Bowl through? When on November 25th, if the Super Bowl was on November 25th, Brandon Graham couldn't have played in the Super Bowl. I mean, he tore his triceps. It needs a certain amount of time to heal up to the point. Again, I bring up Jack because he hurt his leg late. He couldn't play in the Super Bowl. An injury is an injury. In the case of Bryce, he could have played in the Super Bowl. He was inactive because Brandon was back. That's why he was inactive.
Sasha R, here we go. J-Mac laid the smackdown on y'all's candy asses. I'll take that comment. I like a little bit of discussion like that, Sasha R.
Well, it's just like the injury comment there. I think that's the way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but guys are hurt. Ben Van Sumeren tore his ACL. I mean, can't play in the Super Bowl.
I think to Abe's point, he was saying that him having a hurt hand is not an excuse for being unproductive the entire season. I don't know. Maybe that's what Abe meant. I can't speak for Abe, but
well, it's certainly not an excuse before he hurt his hand, and it was, he tore a ligament in his wrist, but he couldn't use his hand. Certainly wasn't an excuse before
play. Same for Landon, banged up knee, now needs surgery and didn't miss time. Yeah, Abe's saying that's not.
I'm not going to argue with you people with fucking. If Landon tore his ACL, he wouldn't have been playing. He had an injury that he played through, that he could play through. I mean,
yeah, but technically Huff did too. I mean, if you're going to go down that road.
Well, he did play through it.
Yeah, until he didn't, right?
Until he didn't. Do you people realize he didn't deactivate himself?
No, I know what you're saying. Brandon was able to go.
I'm talking to these comments.
Brandon was able to go, so they deactivated Huff. Yeah.
I mean, what are people are saying he should have played through the injury, which he played through, and then he was inactive during the Super Bowl. He didn't raise his hand and said, "Guess what, guys? I'm inactive." The Eagles made that decision.
Yeah, they said you're a nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to say.
I mean,
I don't want to troll.
I mean, no. I mean, I hope it's trolling. I hope people understand that.
They told him he fucking stinks and he can enjoy from the bench.
Yeah, again, this is the point where I get a little bit mad at you, Zander, because I'm trying to elevate the conversation.
I know, but
And
I'm
I
just-
got
I'm
these
just telling you, you're
morons.
fighting an uphill
I
battle.
got these fucking morons. Yeah, I'm fighting an uphill battle, which becomes more difficult. Who seem to think that he raised his hand and said, "I'm not going to fucking play because I'm not as tough as Landon Dickerson or Brandon Graham."
Nah, it's a different situation. I understand.
It's dumb as shit. No offense to those people. But I mean, you got to have more common sense than that, or I'm going to fucking shit on you.
I don't have a problem with you shitting on me or anybody. I think that's part of what talking sports is about. I mean, it's, talking sport. We had somebody get really upset about talking shit yesterday. I don't get upset about talking shit. John, you can call me whatever you want, brother. I really don't give a shit. Jack,
Well, I just don't like playing into the stupidity.
Well, I don't think. Well, you think some things are stupid. I don't think it's all stupid. I think Bryce Huff was
those two particular comments I'm talking about. Those are stupid comments. Those two injury comments. Like, if that's the way I took it, and again, if you want to, if they want to correct themselves, that's fine. But the way I took it was, oh, Brandon played in the Super Bowl hurt, so he should have played in the Super Bowl hurt. And Landon played in the Super Bowl hurt and is going to have surgery, so he should have played in the Super Bowl hurt. He was planning on to play in the Super Bowl hurt. The Eagles made him inactive.
Yeah, I think the uphill battle you're fighting is that this guy was not what he was expected to be in Philly, and with that becomes vitriol from people who wanted them to be more. That's going to be now. From my perspective, I'm looking at solutions. The season's done. We won the Super Bowl. I don't give a shit what he did for us in 24. But moving forward, we got a hole in edge rusher with Josh Sweat. Is Bryce Huff going to be the guy? Based on what I saw, I don't think that's a good plan going into the year. That's just my take.
And that's a fair point. That's a fair point. And is he going to be the plan? No, I don't think he's going to be the plan, but I think Howie understands, because he is where he is, that, all right, we got to get something out of him. So we got to make the best of the situation. That's what I'm trying to say.
There's a lot of these comps, and you actually brought it up earlier, which I don't know. I didn't expect you to, but you did. Zander, wasn't Nolan Smith not great last year? I don't view that as the same thing at all. Bryce Huff is on a second contract. I mean, do you view that as the same thing? I mean,
well, not from the standpoint.
It's
a little bit similar because he's a first-round pick who didn't live up to expectations right away. And
a lot of people happen a lot. You see that happen with rookies.
No, a lot of people wrote him off because he didn't live up to expectations right away.
Right.
And it takes time. That the similarity is that, and how we brought up Javon Hargrave, which I don't think was completely fair to Javon Hargrave. As a high-profile free agent signing, this first year in Philadelphia, Javon Hargrave was not great. And his second year, he was great. And, there's not always the immediate gratification. That's what I was comparing it to. And in the case with Javon, but Javon was very much a part of the team and a big part of it, and was okay and a solid player for the entire season. And then he took off. In the case of Bryce, he played 6 games where he was competent, but much lesser than expected, got hurt, and then was never the same moving forward. So I don't think but to the situation of there's not always the immediate gratification. Yes, that's a good comparison, because a lot of people wrote off Nolan Smith. They shouldn't have. And a lot of people are writing off Bryce Huff, and they probably shouldn't.
Yeah,
doesn't mean it's going to work.
Is it's a lot more common for a rookie to come into the league and take time to acclimate. I mean, the reason we talked about Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell is because it's surprising how good they are as rookies. That acclimation period is normal. When you get to a second contract, that's supposed to be your contract of you're more of a proven player. If you regress after that second contract versus if you come into the league and you're not what you were expected to be. I view those as two completely different parts of a player.
Well, that's fine, but it's not like it's never happened before. Howie gave you the example in Philadelphia. I mean, Javon Hargrave was a really good player in Pittsburgh.
Right.
He got a big contract. His first year here, he was not nearly as good as he was in Pittsburgh and viewed as somewhat of a disappointment, not to the level of Bryce Huff. That's where I think it's not fair.
Right.
But he wasn't what he was in Pittsburgh in the first year. And a lot of that maybe just had to do with COVID. That was the COVID year. And he didn't even get to know his teammates and everything was new and all this bullshit. So there are a lot of contextual things. And then he took off in the second year. It's not like it hasn't happened.
It is less likely, though. Will you agree with that?
What's that?
Less likely than a draft pick coming in and taking time to.
Well, I think the other part of it is moving situations, moving from one team to another. It's not as rare as you are seem to be.
Yeah, but there's generally, at least that from my estimation, there's generally a longer rope with a rookie player that's drafted to acclimate and become an impact on the team.
Well, there should be.
There should be. Then there would be for a guy you signed to a big contract on a second deal that is paid to. I mean, that's part of why people.
I mean, forget about Nolan Smith. There were a lot of people shitting on Jalen Carter for the second half of 2023, which I thought was insanity.
Well, it wasn't all insanity. I mean, part of the reason he was so good late in the year is because his conditioning was better. But I view it as just part of being a rookie. I mean, you got to learn those things, and he learned to his credit, and he responded.
Well, I just think he had a very good rookie year, but he
did fall off a little bit toward the end. Right?
There's tremendous. Well, the entire team did, but exactly. there's tremendous, tremendous. When you're a first round, we just talked about with Derek Barnett. When you're a first round pick, I'm going to disagree. When you're a first round pick, I mean, expectations are bang right away now because people are so. Give it to me now. Give it to me now. I want it now. You're muted.
John, if they weren't broken before this year, they're going to be next year because you got Quinyon.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Machine and Jalix Hunt performing in year one.
I fear for that because I think there's going to be it's going to be very hard for Quinyon to have the same type of season as he had this year. It's going to be very hard for Cooper DeJean to have the same type of season that he had this year. And it's going to be, I won't say very hard for Jalix because he didn't play that much, but it's going to be very hard for Jalix to play like he played in the Super Bowl. In fact, I would dare say impossible.
What do you have, 5 pressures in that game, right?
And like 23 snaps.
Yeah.
I don't expect that to continue. It's at times like winning cures everything. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you win the Super Bowl, but if they don't win the Super Bowl, there's going to be some ugly moments next season.
We'll see.
Because guys are going to,
Jack Dwight checks in. I feel remiss that we didn't hit on this earlier in the show. Sorry, Jack. Kellen is the only offensive coordinator to parlay a 30th ranked passing offense into a head coaching job. And then he has the nerve to pilfer. Oh, man.
Well,
oh, man.
I do find it hilarious that Kellen Moore got I find it hilarious that if the Eagles were 8th in offense in 2023 and they were 8th in offense in 2024.
I know.
The difference was the rushing offense was second in the NFL and the passing offense the year prior was much better. And the rushing offense was top 10.
Right.
They were actually more well-rounded in 2023. You can't do this, but can you imagine if the Eagles had the number 1 defense last year? Not this past season.
Brian Johnson would be a head coach somewhere right now.
I think so. I think
I would almost say I know so.
I think he would. I think.
I mean, because we started the year 10-1 with the defense. I mean, imagine if we had the number 1 defense, you might have been talking about a year like we had this year.
I think he would have been a head coach. I agree with you. I think he'd be a head coach. It is interesting to me that Kellen Moore, was brought in to do a specific thing, did not do it, and is now an NFL head coach. As far as pilfering, guys, understand. He can only pilfer 2. He can make somebody an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator because everything else is lateral. So he's interviewing guys. He's doing favors for his friends. Jamal Singleton is not a realistic candidate. It's probably going to be Doug Nussmeier. I think he's going to hire Brandon Staley, so you don't have to worry about Christian Parker. Right. But now Christian Parker
is on the map.
Jamal Singleton is on the map as getting an offense.
Also, the reason I can't knock Kellen for this is, let me just ask you, Jack, if you got hired, if you were the offensive coordinator of a team that just won a Super Bowl, okay, and had the number 1 defense in the NFL, all right, had the best running game in the NFL, and you got hired as a head coach, wouldn't you look to the team you were most successful on to try and hire from some of that? So I get Eagles fans aren't happy about it, but it's a part of the business that'll never change. And I think it's the right move by Kellen to interview some of these guys.
And I think part of it is, again, just helping out his buddies, man. Get him on the radar.
It's definitely that for sure. We'll see who he goes with. We'll see who he goes with. Brian Pumper says, J-Mac, Bryce laid an F and egg. It is what it is. Truly, only the elite of the elites would reach the peaks Tanner McKee ascended to. It don't compute.
I wonder if the Browns have to kick in more than Myles Garrett to get Tanner McKee. I wonder.
Yeah, they might have to, based on the way Pumper talks about him. Suo, last one here, John. I'll let you run. Suo says, if we don't sign Sweater, trade for Myles, or trade up for a defensive end, we're going to be confident with Nolan and Huff starting, because I am not either, Suo. I think it's going to be Nolan and
I've said pretty consistently, and I'm going to say it one last time before I leave. Before my head explodes. They're going to add multiple bodies at edge rusher. Multiple bodies.
Okay, but if it is the top 3, Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith,
it's not going to be
Bryce Huff. Just hear me out. Who would be the starter? You think it would be Jalix, or you think it'd be Bryce? Next,
I think it would be Bryce.
And I'm going to go with
I'll say this. Yeah, the starter is like, who's on there first down?
Yeah, right.
I would say
who gets
Bryce
more snaps. Who does Vic like?
Bryce Huff would, in that instance, if those are the top 3, and if those are the top 3, something's gone wrong. But if those are the top 3, Nolan would get the most snaps, Bryce would get the second most snaps, Jalix would get the third.
All right, I'm going to put Jalix at number 2 on mine, but I appreciate it. I see where you're coming from there. Johnny Mac, good show, man. Any final thoughts before we let you run, brother, on this Tuesday?
Got to get some Advil, man. Good job to everybody for driving me insane today. But hey, that's what it's about.
I got to call my parents, J-Mac. There is an insane fire.
Oh, really?
At SPS Technologies, which is this warehouse that I grew up right next to. It's 0.8 miles from the house I grew up in. And I get this notification last night that there's a stay in your house order because of a fire, and there's hazmat, and there's cyanide leaking, and cyanide's one of those things. If you inhale it, you can die. It's like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I got to call them and figure out what the hell.
There's another plane crash. What's going on with these planes?
You know, want to hear something weird too? That's that SPS Technologies, which is this old warehouse. It's this, I always used to wonder when I was a kid, what the hell goes on inside there? But they manufacture parts and bolts and stuff for planes. So it's the whole thing is weird, John. There's a lot of weird shit going on in the world.
All right, now I'm looking it up. Yeah, shelter in place in effect.
Yeah, SPS Technologies.
Yeah, wow.
The whole thing was on fire.
Explosion. They're probably trying to cover something else. I don't want to be conspiracy. I'm going to.
I know. Believe me, I was getting conspiracy. I was going down that road a little bit too, but. Yeah, I mean, and the fire started at like 9:45, and they said it was 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. They still hadn't had it contained. So I don't know what's going on, but we'll see. We'll see how it all goes, Johnny Mac. John, great show today, brother. We appreciate it. Appreciate the back and forth as always. And I'll talk to you tomorrow on Birds 365, right, brother?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. There's Johnny Mac joining us here on Birds 365. Well done by him today. As always on the show, some great debates, great topics, great discussions from everybody. I'm now going to kick it around with you guys. We will have a legend giveaway today. All right, we'll do that. And I'll take some comments from the great people as well. I think I got all the super chats today. I did. All right. Good stuff. I appreciate all you guys for being here. Some good conversation today. It's hard for me to agree with what J-Mac says about some of that stuff, but I understand the debate, the discussion. It is what it is. I don't think Bryce Huff is a good player. He's not ready to go that far, but I understand it. It was it was a good hour number 2, though. It was a good hour number 2. All right. A good hour number 2 on the show. And I do think we hit on some interesting stuff in the opening segment about, draft picks, running backs, cornerback. Is Cooper DeJean your guy on the outside? I think it should be. All right. Is Cooper DeJean your guy on the outside? Restructuring contracts, some of those things. So I think we are, we got an exciting offseason ahead. Our sights should be on returning to the Super Bowl and being a competent football team. All right. My takes on Bryce Huff all come down to if he's your starting guy or he has a significant role as an edge rusher. I don't think your team's in a good position. All right. I don't think your team's in a good position. But I get it. All right. I get it all. Let me get to a couple comments here. HKP, if Huff starts, we need prayer. Yeah, I'm with you, HKP. I'm with you, my man. J-Mac said his head was hurting, but it should have been his knees the way he was defending Bryce Huff. Cody, I'm not going to say you were wrong. All right. Look, J-Mac likes the player a lot more than I do. That's for sure. Clary Voice says, I love J-Mac's optimism on Huff. Too bad Vic doesn't feel the same way. Yeah, Vic doesn't like the player at all. Now, remember, John had an off-the-record conversation with Howie. All right. So a lot of what he was saying comes from Howie said that Bryce Huff is going to be back and they're going to believe in him. All right. He believes in the player. He's going to be stubborn on the player. And I don't view that as a good thing, but it's part of the business. Chris Scott says, no way I'm moving DeJean outside. Keep him at nickel. He can do a lot from that spot. Rodgers can start opposite Q. Chris, the problem is that you're going to be, I'm not saying you're wrong. And if we didn't have this system in the NFL where where players were paid based on their position, I think that's what they would do, because then Cooper DeJean wouldn't feel so motivated or pressured potentially from his agent to get to the outside. I don't think it works like that. Callie Baby says, why do you feel Cooper can play well outside? Well, Callie, most of it is because I believe he has the athleticism to do so. And, he's fast. He's versatile. He's a ball hawk. I think he has all the trade. And look at some of it, though, the hip mobility that he has. I mean, he does everything well, Callie Baby. I really think he can play outside corner. Now, I understand where people are coming from when they say, if you keep him in the nickel, he's closer to the ball. He can make plays. He can make tackles. He can do some of those things. And your defense improved drastically when he came into the game at the nickel. I understand those things. But you got to remember, there's an agent in his ear. There's a personal desire as a human being to maximize your potential and your earnings, which I think we can all understand. We can all relate to, right? Everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants to be compensated for what they're worth. Everybody wants to maximize their value, at least as I certainly do. And Cooper DeJean's probably like, I'm great in the nickel, but if I stay in the nickel, I got a $12 million payday in the future. If I can go play outside corner, which I know I'm capable of, I can get a $100 million contract. So that's going to come into it. That's part of the business. That's going to be a factor. Now, maybe John's right. That's not a conversation for this year, but I don't know. If Slay is gone, you're going to have to replace the outside cornerback. I'll ask you this, Callie Baby, all right, as a response to you. Who you feel better about playing outside? Would you feel better about playing Cooper DeJean outside Or would you feel better about playing Isaiah Rodgers on the outside? Because I like Isaiah Rodgers, all right? I will tell you that. I like Isaiah Rodgers. I don't know how good he would be in a full-time role, all right? In a full-time role on the outside. I also worry about the injury concern with him. He's a small dude, tiny body, seems to get injured easily. I'm not going to go down the thing where you call him a glass player, but I don't know. Is that somebody you can rely on for 18 games to be an outside corner? Cooper DeJean, I think you can. I don't know. Some of it's projection. I understand that. No limit says I'm trying to see Eli Ricks. No, Sasha, that's not the question. That's not the question, Sasha. That's not the question, Sasha. Sasha, what's a more valuable position in the NFL? This team is going to have two holes in the secondary, an outside corner and the slot if you're moving Cooper. What's the more valuable spot to replace? Who gets paid more money? Who's more valuable to a defense? That is not the right question. If it's harder to replace an outside cornerback than it is a slot cornerback, why would that be the question? You're just going to skip over it? Oh, the outside will be fine. That's the wrong question. Who would you rather play in the slot? That's the wrong question because that's not as valuable and it's easier to replace. I'm sorry, but that's a dumb comment, Sasha. I don't agree with that at all. Sasha says you can give a corner help. You can't give a slot help. Then tell me why, Sasha. The entire NFL across the board values outside cornerbacks more than they do slot cornerbacks. I mean, come on, man. Everything's dictating against what you're saying. You're viewing it from the perspective of you like Cooper DeJean in the slot, so you want to keep him there. That's perfectly fine. I don't disagree with that. But the nature of the NFL is going to come into play. And that's not a more valuable position at all. I'm sorry, it's not. And I don't mean that with disrespect to you. Let me go to Cali Baby because I was talking to him a little bit. He says, I'm really losing my voice now. Now, Sasha, now I'm coming for you. I'm really losing my voice. He says, I wouldn't say I don't think Coop can play it because of all the things you said, but I've seen him play so well in nickel, and I do believe from what we've seen, Isaiah has shown he can. I think that's fair, Callie. I think that's fair. I think what you're going to get into, though, is the business of the NFL, where Cooper DeJean is going to have aspirations for himself as a player and the future contracts that are going to come with that. All right. So, it's a tough one. I get what you're saying. Akbar follows up. Not a dumb comment. Whole defense changed when Cooper came in and played slot. We never saw it from the outside. Akbar, you're not wrong on that, but what you're doing, Akbar, and I love you, but what you're doing is you're acting as if none of the other factors in the NFL have a role in this. They do. Darius Slay's going to be out the door, which means you're going to have an opening on the outside cornerback. Okay? Cooper DeJean is a young, hungry player who's going to want to maximize his career. All right? Who's going to want to maximize his career. I'm not saying the defense 100% changed. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't dispute that on you or Sasha or anybody else. All right? But I think there's a lot more factors that go into this. That again, as fans, it's very easy to act like those factors don't exist, but they do. They do exist. Curtis says, Z, our depth is at outside corner. We don't have slot depth unless you like Maddox. No, I do not like Maddox. I don't think Sasha's comment was that dumb. That's fair. I'm all right if you disagree with me. I think it was dumb because I don't think it's factoring in. I don't think it's factoring in the nature of the entire pie. I don't think it's factoring in everything that goes into the discussion. It's not as simple as, okay, just keep Cooper in the slot because he was good there. That's not how it works. If that's how it works, then Bryce Huff would still be a New York Jet. All right? And look, if you're going to do that, if you're going to go down that road and you want to maximize Cooper DeJean here, and you think then him being in the slot is where to do that, that's fine. But be ready for him to walk out of here when a team is ready to make him an outside cornerback in 3 years or 4 years. No, 3 years now. He doesn't have a fifth-year option. This is a second-round player. You got 3 more years left to Cooper DeJean. If they're going to hamstring him by keeping him in the slot, which you know as a player limits your career earnings, which, guys, remember, this is professional fucking sports. This isn't – these guys want to get paid. These guys want to get paid. All right? Now, this is an interesting one here. I'm trying to get to all the comments. We got some good comments about this topic. You know, I understand all the different perspectives. All right? I do. And I appreciate them. Eagle Nest says, Zander, do you think Sidney Brown can play slot corner? I mean, I think it's fair, but that's a big projection. I mean, he's a physical player. He's a good player. He's fast. He's quick. He's more of a safety build. He's not, you know, he doesn't have some of the traits that you want in a great cornerback. I think that some of the traits that make Cooper DeJean great, fast, quick hips, you know, turns. He's a ball hawk, tracks the ball well. I don't think you have that with Sidney Brown. So I think that's probably a bigger projection there. M. Reyes says, fuck Coop's money. Well, Coop would say, fuck you, M. Reyes. What do you mean, fuck my money? I'm sorry, but we're talking about professional football here. We're not talking about college. We're not talking about the G League. We're not talking about fucking CFL. These guys want to make money, man. Cooper DeJean's going to say, why are you keeping me at slot? I should be on the outside. Darius Slay just walked away from the team. He retired. M. Reyes. Dude, M. Reyes, I'm sorry, brother. You're living in delusion land. You're living in fucking delusion land. I'm tired of the notion that money dictates everything with these players. That's bullshit, M. Reyes. There's probably 3 to 5% of players in the NFL who sacrificed money to go to a different position. Come on, man. You can have that line of thinking because I understand it as a fan. But to act like it's reality is naive. It's naive. Let me go back to Sasha because I chirped Sasha. I want to give him a chance to follow up. Sasha, let me see what you said back to me. I didn't mean to rip you, and then it's all love. It's always love, Sasha. No worries, brother. I just want to see if you followed up to me when I told you were wrong. I want to give you a chance to respond. I don't see your comment, though. The pick 6 wouldn't have happened if he wasn't in the slot. You're not wrong about that, but the 24 team will never be the same again, Sasha. So you can't really look at that as an instance of why it would be worth keeping him in the slot. While I do understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying. Anthony says, Zander, why would Cooper leave us? He wouldn't, but if you're going to put him in the slot and keep him there and say, you can't go outside, he's going to say, fuck that. I'm going to go and make the most money. All right? As anybody would, by the way. As anybody would. Again, there's a level of delusion in this type of comment. Anthony Lear, Zander, all money ain't good money. He just won a ring here. Okay. So now you're in the territory of counting another man's pockets, telling another man what he values in life, telling another man how he should choose to build his career and take care of his family. And Anthony, I'm sorry. I think that's fucking stupid. I'm projecting on what the most valuable parts of the team are and where Cooper DeJean will be able to maximize his career. You're speculating that Cooper DeJean won't give a shit about money or won't care about legacy or won't care about how deep his pockets are. I'm not in that business. Sorry, I don't do that. Z's right about the money. Of course he is. But we can put Coop in the slot another year. Now, Curtis, that might be true. Maybe you will put him in the slot another year. But the reason it's a tough one, Curtis, is you don't have Hall of Fame corners retiring every year. You don't. So if I'm Cooper DeJean's agent, I'm going to say there's an opening right now. There's not going to be an opening every year. There's not going to be an opening every year. I hear you, though. Philly Don says, Zander, would you give Ringo a chance at outside or slot? Maybe. I like Keeley, but he hasn't showed, I think it's a big projection, Don. I don't think you feel comfortable. I think there's a level of hope going into that you probably don't want for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations again. And I think that's probably the biggest uphill battle with Keeley Ringo is, do you trust enough that he can be developed enough to make enough impact? Yeah, Eagle Nest, I think you're right about this. And Eagle Nest, you just brought up Eagle Nest, another great point that goes into this conversation. And I'm happy you brought it up. He says, if we move Coop outside, I think we let Rodgers walk and go sign someone to play slot corner. The question is who? That's another great point. Isaiah Rodgers is a free agent. So your projection is going to be that they're going to pay Isaiah Rodgers to come back to Philly to be the outside corner. That's a projection. I'm not ready to say that. I'm not ready to. Meanwhile, they have a guy under contract who's capable of playing the position, who's on a rookie deal, and you can bring him back on the outside. And by the way, again, back to the business. What's an easier position to fill? What's an easier position to replace? You have a hole at cornerback 1 or a cornerback 2 on the outside, and you have a hole at the slot. And let's say you got to fill it in free agency. What's easier to fill? What costs more money to fill? Got to look at the business aspect of it. It's a great point by Eagle Nest because Cooper's under fucking contract. So you're going to project that they're going to sign Isaiah to be on the outside and then keep Cooper on the inside. I don't know about that. I don't know about all that. I got a couple super chats I'll get to now. All right. Nick M says, would you take a chance on Wilson playing tight end? I wouldn't take a chance on anything that requires Johnny Wilson to catch a football. Okay. You want to be out there. You want to be out there to block? Sure. Catching a football with Johnny Wilson? I don't like it. Sorry. I seen that motherfucker drop way too many balls this year, man. How about that drop in the Super Bowl? Jalen Hurts tossed a little flick pass to him. Like a little layup, shot a little hoop to him. Didn't even catch it. Come on, Johnny. Catch the fucking ball. Kenny Sprague says, where the NFL is headed, maybe the slot will be more of a premium position with going against more versatile receivers. Maybe Howie gets ahead like Dickerson. Maybe. Again, that's speculation in a big way, Kenny. It's possible. No limits. As Zander taking the money and expecting smooth transition doesn't always work out. Different experience, but remember when we got Byron Maxwell, he couldn't. Yeah, that's true, but no limit. That doesn't mean someone won't take the money. We're not there yet with Cooper DeJean. I'm talking about how he wants to develop and build his career. Perfect example. If he stays at slot his whole career in Philly, what does that mean for his career? How does that limit him in future earnings, future contracts? Let me see what my man Cali Baby said. I saw you saying to me. Callie says, the only time you see that is if a top outside corner goes inside to guard a top guy lined up in slot. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's different. That once you're paid, again, if you're gonna pay Coop top money and then you want to move them all around, that's different. That's different. I'm talking about there's a cold side to this game that we all love. That you can choose to acknowledge or you can choose to ignore it. If Cooper DeJean gets to the negotiating table and he's only ever played slot cornerback, that's going to hurt his value. If you're a player and you're an agent, you're going to say to your player, this is going to hurt you down the road. Ultimately, it's not up to him, but I agree, HK Pay. They play to get paid, man. And they should. They should. Let's see what Sliger says here. Sliger, I appreciate you, brother. The guy's 22. If the defense is better with Rodgers outside and Coop in the slot, that's where you play him. And if the Eagles will pay without position dictating it. Exhibit A is Dickerson. Well, that's a fair point, Sliger. That's a fair point right there. But the problem I have with your comment is you're assuming the defense is going to be better with Rodgers outside and Coop in the slot. And that's an assumption because we've never seen that, Sliger. We've never seen the defense be better with Isaiah permanently on the outside and Cooper in the slot. We saw the defense improve with Cooper in the slot when you had Darius Slay on the outside. Across an 18-game full season, are you going to predict that? Are you going to project that? I don't know. Look, Sliger, I think your comment's very fair. I do. I think that's a fair point. The guy's young. It's not the time to talk about what I'm talking about. I'm just saying this is a moment here where he's going to have a chance to push forward. My prediction is that they're going to move him to the outside. That's my prediction. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right. I'm wrong. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. All right. Dirty Air, it's a good point. Dirty Air, Zander, Rodgers played outside with Coop in the slot almost every game at points, and it went great. Rodgers is a free agent, Dirty Air. So you're going to bring him back? Again, Slager and Dirty Air, both of you guys. Great points. Not disputing them. Now you're in the conversation of you're bringing Isaiah Rodgers back. What are you going to pay Isaiah Rodgers now? Okay, now you're into the territory of the business is a factor. Isaiah Rodgers is a free agent. Cooper DeJean is not. So if you want Isaiah on the outside, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that. And no, Slay's not definitely retiring. I have not heard that. But, based on what he said earlier, you would think he's probably going to be gone. Yeah, I agree with this, Dirty Air, completely. If we bring Rodgers back, I think that tells you all you need to know. I agree. But I think you're now into the territory. Yeah, this is fair, Dabney, and I acknowledge this. You might have just checked in. I acknowledge this, that I'm projecting. I'm projecting that Cooper would be the outside slot. But Dabney, again, it comes back to, okay, if you want to keep him in the slot, which I don't think is when I say this, I don't think it's a crazy thought. I'm not shitting on people who have that thought. Who's going to be your outside cornerback? Dabney. Cooper stays in the slot. Okay, fine. Who's your outside corner? Keely Ringo? Yeah, Ringo's not a slot player. Nope. Too long, too lanky, too big. Callie, too physical. Not a slot guy. I agree, HK Pay. Coop's got everything you would want. Now, it is a projection. He's never played out there. Ringo's best to play outside. That's a bigger projection than Cooper DeJean. Re-sign Rodgers or Ringo. So, Dabney, if you're going to say to me that I'm assuming Cooper would excel at outside cornerback, and then you're going to use Ringo, well, that's fine. We're both assuming. And some of this is going to be an assumption, by the way. You're never going to get a foolproof option. You're never going to have a perfect option. We assumed Bryce Huff was going to be more than a fucking trash can. He wasn't. It's an interesting conversation. All right. There's a lot more variables to this than, just, move Cooper or bring back Isaiah or whatever. Akbar says, Callie, this Bull's running touchdowns in the Super Bowl. He's already starting to work on it, and he's only going to get better. I think his skill set's hampered if he's on the outside. Yeah, well, listen, Akbar, if I can tell you I got a business for you, you can make $100,000 a year in one business, or I have this other business that can pay you $2 million a year. Which one are you going to try and get good at, Akbar? Which one are you going to work on, Akbar, to try and be great at? Dabney, I can tell you, you can make 500 grand doing this, or you can make 1.5 doing this. Which one are you going to work on? Which one do you want to work on to excel at? I think the answer is obvious. No Limit says, Zander, taking the money and expecting smooth transitions doesn't always work out. Different experience, but remember when we got Byron Maxwell? I think I read that already, but No Limit, I appreciate it. Suo says, people forgetting Cooper was a lockdown All-American outside corner at Iowa. I didn't forget that. He's great in the slot with us, but the man is an outside cornerback. I agree. That's why my projection for him is that he will end up outside. Maybe it's not this year. Akbar, but he was great at it in college. You know, Akbar, I don't think that's a truthful answer by you either. I'm not going to call you out for not being honest, but I don't think you're evaluating everything with a clear conscience or without potentially an eagle green slant on it. If you're pretty good at both, Akbar, you're going to go for the one with more money, my man. Akbar, don't even try and tell me, man. If you're pretty good at both, you're not going to go for the one with more money. Yeah, Iowa's not the same. I do agree with that, Callie, baby. But you can say the same thing about Isaiah Rodgers. I mean, he didn't play a full year or even close. Keith Johnson checks in. Neither Rodgers nor Ringo can tackle like Coop in the slot. You can find another cornerback too. All right. Maybe, Keith. Look, we've had a revolving door there. You guys remember Steven Nelson? Steven Nelson came in. He was pretty good here. James Bradbury came in. He was pretty good here. You traded. What'd you trade for James Bradbury? 6th? So maybe you're not wrong. Maybe. Look, maybe Cooper will stay in the slot. Maybe that's where his career will pan out, as a slot forever. You know, he's one of the debated guys. Will he be an outside corner? Will he stay slot? Will he become a safety? A lot of people said he'll be a safety in the NFL. That hasn't panned out to be true so far. Look, the NFL is not college. Nobody's saying that, but you're not talking about a guy that has no experience on the outside. That's the difference. You know, the NFL is not college. Nobody's saying that. George is not the Eagles. Nolan Smith has still been a good player. Jalen Carter played in college and he was great. Now he plays in the NFL. He's great. I mean, that projection exists with everybody. So, you know, you can't just use that and then say that it doesn't matter at all for Cooper DeJean. He played in college. He doesn't have no experience on the outside. Pump. What's up, Pump? Sign Ball and let everyone else go. I trust Howie in the draft. Keep building the culture of the young talent. Don't need old-ass Garrett. Actually, Pump, you know, I'm coming more and more around to that line of thinking. You just had the number 1 overall defense with all your young boys. Do you want to mortgage a lot of the future? You know, we had a conversation yesterday on the show where Johnny Mack threw out potentially trading Nolan Smith to get Myles Garrett. That's a fucking no from me. That is a tremendous no for me. A 30-year-old guy or a 22-year-old guy. Come on, man. I don't give a shit if Nolan Smith never reaches Myles Garrett's career. I care about what Nolan Smith's going to mean for the Philadelphia Eagles. And you got a long career of a hell of a player. Even if he doesn't reach the pinnacle that Myles Garrett has reached, which he probably won't, let's be real. Myles Garrett's one of the fucking best players in the league. But I don't know, a lot of interesting discussions with it. You know, I think Cooper DeJean and Slay are one of the more interesting ones there. And then I do think there's a factor too with, you know, restructures. Who's how we going to restructure? You know, that's the other thing that's hard to project with this stuff because, you know, Akbar, this guy can run with anybody. That ain't the question, big dog. Akbar says, Zan, do you think Coop is fast enough to hang with Justin Jefferson? Did you see what Adam Thielen do to him on the inside? Adam Thielen didn't beat him with speed, Akbar. Adam Thielen did not beat him with speed. Not even at all. Not at all. Speed is not the problem with Cooper DeJean. I promise you that. Speed is not the problem. Adam Thielen beat up on Cooper DeJean as a veteran would in terms of route running, finding the open zones, flipping his hips the wrong way, footwork, as you mentioned. He didn't beat him with speed. He didn't beat him with speed. Kerwin says, watch, they're going to start calling DeJean a hybrid nickel. Yeah, that's what you don't want if you're a player and his agent. I'm just saying look, I don't think anybody said anything wrong in here. I think it's all a fair thing to look at in the evaluation of this. I do. But you never want your player to be labeled like that, because then you limit your earnings. You limit your earning potential. You go into the open market and teams put you in a box and they view you one way, and that's what you get. That's what you earn. I don't think he wants that. No, Callie, I know, and I agree with you. Speed's not everything, not at all. Callie, why do you think, and maybe I don't want to speak for you, do you think that Cooper DeJean cannot play outside corner, Callie? And if you don't think he can, I'd like to hear why. Why you don't think he can play outside corner. No Limit says route running in the outside becomes Chris or Zander. Coop would be playing the best route runners. Yeah, I mean, you don't think he can handle it? He was a rookie this year, dude. He was a rookie this year. He got beat in one game by Adam Thielen, a guy who's been in the league for 13 years. I've seen nothing outside of that to insinuate that Cooper DeJean wouldn't be able to handle good route runners. I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But you think Isaiah Rodgers can hang with the best route runners better than Cooper DeJean? I certainly haven't seen anything that would make me think that. I certainly don't think that. Cooper I might like Cooper more than some of you guys. I think he can be a exceptional outside cornerback. Maybe I'm wrong. It's always that possibility. I don't profess to be right all the time, nor will I ever tell you guys I'll be right all the time. Suo says, Coop ran a 4.43 with a broken leg. He's fast, Suo. So speed is not the issue with Cooper DeJean, but that's also not everything. Suo says you can draft slot corners, man. Lockdown CB1-2 is OD. I agree with you, Suo, but I get it. Dirty Air says you might want to go back and watch Rodgers' tape. I know he was good, Dirty Air. I'm just saying you're talking about full reps versus everybody all year. That's a different projection, man. That's not the same as coming in and handling when Slay goes down. And I'm not saying he's not good, Dirty Air, but I'm saying, do you feel that much better about him than Cooper DeJean to the point where you're going to pay him? What are you going to pay Isaiah? 10 mil? 12 mil? 10 mil? 12 mil to come back and be your outside corner? So, Dirty Air, the conversation is actually not who would be better, Cooper DeJean or Isaiah Rodgers. The conversation is, what is more valuable to the Philadelphia Eagles? Moving Cooper to the outside, a guy who's under contract, a guy who's we think can be pretty good at it, or paying Isaiah Rodgers to come back and be the outside cornerback. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this. Callie says, I think he can. He did it in college. I agree with you there. I just think when you look at the mold of the player, he's more of a slot. And to see how well he did it, I don't want to lose that. Well, I certainly understand that. You don't want to lose how good he's been at nickel. There's no doubt, Callie, baby. He's been a game changer at nickel. He's a ball hawk. I mean, he's all around the ball. He makes tackles, makes plays left and right. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know, man. I think the business is going to come into this. Rodgers is not going to play slot, I don't think, John. I don't think Rodgers would play the slot. Cody says Zander is Slay for sure calling it a career. That's not for sure. You know, he kind of sounded like he wanted to do one more year, which it looks like you said. Yeah, you did say that here. I just don't know if it's going to be with Philly. I don't know if it's going to be with Philly. That's the problem there. You know, will it be with Philly? I don't know. I'll tell you what. Interesting discussion. Interesting discussion here where I think it's all valid. I don't think anybody made bad points. I really don't. I think it's all valid, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. All right. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out there. So good stuff with Cooper DeJean. We'll see what he ends up doing. We'll see what he ends up doing. All right. With Cooper DeJean. I don't know. I don't know what they might do. Next question I have for you guys, and we're going to do a giveaway here. All right. We'll do a giveaway. Hang tight. All right. Relax. Relax, everybody. Relax. I'll do a giveaway. I know many people are here just for the giveaways. I'm going to start weeding out the people who are just here for giveaways anyway. All right. It's off-season time. I want to build a great fan base, build a great community, and continue to build on that. All right. Next question I would have for you guys. Right now, we sit at the number 32 overall pick. It's a beautiful thing. You can only get the 32 pick if you win the Super Bowl. So, unless you trade for it. But the 32 pick, that is the Philadelphia Eagles pick. So, thank you very much. That's great news. Where are you guys leaning? All right. Where are you leaning position-wise at that pick? Now, I understand it depends on how the board falls, depends who gets drafted. I get it. Okay. I get it. Where would you lean at that pick? I agree. Dirty Air says, I'll tell you, we aren't picking 32. I'll tell you that much. I agree. I agree. Trade back. A lot of people want to trade back. I agree. Daz said, I typically leave for the giveaways. Well, Daz, we're having some good football discussion right now. Trade down, get another second. Maybe. It depends how the board falls. Pass rusher, we're probably going to lose Sweat and Williams. Yeah, I think you're going to want a defensive lineman for sure. I think you're going to want a defensive lineman. M. Reyes can't help but be a funny guy. Just fuck it. Sell for an outside corner. Maybe you're right, M. Reyes. Maybe. The likes do suck today. I might cancel the giveaway. Josh B won yesterday. Congrats, Josh B. He's a legend winner, so we had a legend anyway win. The giveaway is on the chopping block today. We have 144 likes. That's pitiful. Jack Sawyer, I don't know. You know, I like him, but so I started to really dive into the draft last night. Because, you know, I've been looking at it, but you can't dive in like, you know, when this team's on a Super Bowl run. So I really started to dive in last night. Daz, I kind of agree. See, Daz, this is where, you know, sometimes it's tough because you read all these draft guys and you're like, these guys do this shit for a living. You know, talk about draft, analyze players. They get it wrong a lot, but why do I like Landon Jackson more than every draft guy? I don't know. Daz, to me, Landon Jackson looks like a first-round player. I don't know why in every projection I've seen so far, he's been down at like 39, 40, 40 to 50, 30 to 40, somewhere in that range. I love the player Landon Jackson. In fact, if they drafted him at 32, I'd be pretty pumped. I agree. See, Clary Voigt brings up a good point here. The draft's going to be rough. Not many quarterbacks going early. I agree. I mean, if quarterbacks aren't a premium, which you know, Clary Voigt's still early. Let's see how that. Yeah, that's the dude from Arkansas. Yep, HKP. That's the dude from Arkansas. I like Landon Jackson a lot. If we'll see though, because you know you got Jackson Dart. You know you have a lot of these. You know, let me look at. You got Cam Ward, you got Shadur Sanders, you got Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Jackson Dart. Riley Leonard stinks. I mean, fucking, I would never draft that guy. Quinn Ewers, Kyle McCord, Curtis Rourke. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of quarterbacks, and I don't can I be honest? I think there's one quarterback maybe in this draft that's round one worthy. You know it's never going to go that way, though. I don't know if I'd spend a first on many of these dudes, though. Maybe Cam Ward. I can't lie to you. I didn't like the way he handled that bowl game. Now, what does that show you about his skill set? Not much. I agree, show enough. No first round QB in this draft. I know, but they're gonna, you already know how they're gonna get gassed up. I'll show you guys who the draft picks are this year, or what picks we have. All right, let me show you guys this. So you can see here, there's your draft picks. All right, there's your draft picks. You have 32, 64, and 96, our regular first three rounders. Then you have the pick, round 4 pick from the Lions, which I think we acquired in last draft. Round 5, you got to pick 162 from the Texans. You got 3 5. So you got 162, 166, 169. My projection would be that they'll package them up and go and get something. Round 6, nothing, and round 7, nothing. Maybe they trade back to try and get a 6th or a 7th rounder. There's your picks, though. 32, 64, 96, 129, 162, 166, 169. All right. So you have 7 picks. You have 3 5ths, no 6th, no 7th, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. That's your picks. I mean, you can use these 5s to move up potentially in any of these picks, but they're not loaded with draft picks. See, Brian brings up a name I absolutely fucking love in this draft. See, he says if we go edge, you have to be able to drop in coverage. I want Jihad Campbell or Jalen Walker. There's other edges are not versatile. I love Campbell. But we don't think that they're gonna spend a premium pick on him, do we, Brian? We don't think they're gonna spend a premium pick on him, do we? I mean, he's 6'3", 244. He's a New Jersey guy. Went to IMG Academy, which is dope. All right, I think he's a great player. I don't know if they're gonna a team high. He had 11.5 tackle for losses last year, minus 55 yards. And then he had 5 sacks, minus 39 yards. I love the player. He's one of my favorite players. But I just don't know if the Eagles would draft him. That's the problem. He's very good, Dankbird Gang. I agree, HKP. I don't know if it's a Howie pick. Curtis, I agree. Curtis says, Z, I'm expecting very little splash this offseason. We don't need splash, but it might be a little boring. I think Howie will always do a little something that's not so boring. I mean, I don't know, Curtis, if you're like me, any move is not boring, bro. I'll get jacked up about anything, bro. Yeah, I agree, Pump. I think he's going to be an edge. But I don't know. We'll see. He's got the size. A little undersized, or a little low on the weight, but no limit. I'm just saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying Howie doesn't spend draft picks on linebackers. He doesn't do it. And I just drank coffee grinds. Gross. I hate that. Ugh. Literally just drank. My last sip of coffee, I was desperate for a sip of coffee. I take a sip of it, and it's fucking all coffee grinds. You got to be kidding me, man. Akbar says, hey, Zan, who are the best running backs in the draft? I mean, people like that Ashton Genty. I don't know. I like him. I'm not spending a first-round pick on a 5'9" running back. That's just me. Like the player. I don't know, man. Cam Scatterbo's that Arizona State guy. They got Omarion Hampton, I think, is pretty highly rated. He's that North Carolina kid. I kind of like him. He's young, 6'1", 220, versatile runner. I like him a lot. I like Scatterbo too, but let's be real. Are we going to spend a premium pick on Cam Scatterbo? Yeah, and Penn State did wreck Genty. You're right about that. That shelter-in-place order, it was still in place by my parents' place. I got to figure out if they're all right. I actually, you know who I like that's actually not rated too high is I like that Keyshawn Judkins from Ohio State. I know they got multiple guys there, but I like him. I like him. I like that player, and he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires because he split snaps this year with Trevion Henderson, I think his name is. I like Judkins, but I don't think they're going to spend I don't think they're going to draft a running back. So I haven't really looked at running backs too much. I like Hampton. He's a good player. I like Hampton too. Marion Hampton. He's a good player. Good player. Curtis Aziz. Doesn't seem like you're high on Shipley. I can't lie to you guys. Right now, I'm not. I like the player. I don't see him as a difference maker at all. I don't know. Look, maybe other people are higher on Shipley than I am. That's fine. I don't see it. I don't see it. He's slow. You're right. I don't see it. Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma is actually not bad. Oklahoma State. He's way down there. I don't think he's going to get picked up early. I think he's like a 6-rounder. Andrew says, I like Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. He's a good player, but I don't know. He's probably late. I like him late. He's a sleeper. All right, it's fine. All right, that's fine. That's fine. You know it's draft season when you're drinking coffee grounds. Ain't that the truth, Theo? I can't wait for draft season. Draft season's here. What do you mean can't wait, Zander? It's here. No, it is. It is. It is here. I might cancel the giveaway. What do we think? How mad are you guys going to be if I cancel the giveaway today? Because I got to send out a bunch of people's giveaways. I got to send out Josh B's. I didn't send his out yesterday. NC25, we trust. NC25, you have earned the permanent boot from this channel forever. Say it, buddy. I don't give a fuck who you are. Bum. Yeah, look, a lot of good guys. I love the draft, all right? You know, something I'm going to do this offseason, all right? I'm going to do draft profiles. So I'm going to do videos, maybe shorts. I might do shorts. Like you can do up to 3 minutes now. I'm going to do shorts on all the players, like players that I like. I'm probably going to do some on players that we probably don't have a chance on, but I think it's a good, one of the things I think is the best way to stay educated in the NFL is to follow the draft, because you look at and you understand all of the players coming into the league. So I'm going to do a draft show type of thing where we do, we'll preview or do the draft profile of a player any given day. So I think that'd be pretty good. Any idea on offensive coordinator? I think it's going to be, what's the guy's name? Why am I blanking on his name now? The fuck is the guy's name? Why am I blanking on his name? Someone tell me. Yeah, Kevin Petula. Thank you. I think it's going to be Petula. Keith, thank you, brother. We'll continue to work on it, all right? I got a lot of good ideas. We've already started to implement, for those, by the way, for all those people who have been supporting me on my other platforms as well, I do appreciate it, man. I've been, this was a journey this season, and we got to the end of it. And I wish I'd been doing it more, but I've just been so busy. Sometimes it's hard to look at everything. And with the benefit of time and experience, you gain perspective, obviously. So I don't like to look back and wish I did things different. But I will say, I'm already doing a lot more on Instagram. We're doing a lot more on Twitter. We're growing those other platforms as well. We've already been pushing shorts out. HKP, the Reels on IG. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that other content. All right. I'm going to be doing a lot more of the other content. I got great plans for the offseason. I really do. So I hope you all stay locked in. I hope you continue to support the channel, and I'll continue to give back to the channel as I always will and as I always do. And I'm really excited for where we are. So it's a good job by everybody. Can't do it without all you guys. Can't be great without the greatness of others. Right, Pump? And good stuff there. Eagle Nest says, JAKIB Chad's eating this season. We don't need giveaways. He's trying to send one of us to the draft. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. All good. Yo, Eagle Nest, I forgot to DM you. Speaking of it, I forgot to email you yesterday. Oh, no. Did you email me? I think you did. Yeah, you did. Brandon, I don't know what the fuck to do. And then, you don't have to make up for the cost. You don't have to make up for the $40. What I'm going to do, Brandon, is I'm going to walk my ass into the fucking post office, and I'm going to say, re-up this label. I'm not spending $40 on it again. So they'll probably re-up it for me. But I just got to figure it out, Brandon. I want it to get to you. So I will look at your email right after this. All right. I promise you. Josh B, I spoke with you. A couple other people who might have to connect with here. Crowley, I'm sending out your large. Okay. I'm sending Crowley and Prince. Yo, Prince. Look at this. Look at this fucking guy. Look at him. Zander jerks off to Sills. Let's show you guys. This guy is a porn-brained loser. All right. That's what he thinks about. That's what he thinks about. Okay. When he thinks about me. That's what he thinks about. All right. First off, it's a pause. It's a major pause. He's a fucking loser. And I'm giving him my time. I'm giving him his little bit of publicity. All right, look, I'm letting him continue to comment. You're a goon. Zander doesn't learn. Bro, ain't nothing to learn from you. There ain't nothing to learn from you, man. You're like a 16-year-old who can't figure your shit out. That's all right. The one thing I'll say about UC24 is I promise you one day in life you'll look back and you'll say, yeah, I was acting a little goofy. I was a weird guy. I was a weird guy. That's all right. I'm sure we all go through that. Biggest pause of the century. Yeah, weirdo. That's not even a pause. That's like a you're fucking odd. Like, think about it. HKP, you got to make a channel, and then you have to type that name in. And then in order to chat in the JAKIB chat, you have to subscribe. So you subscribe to the channel, and then you proceed to type comments. That's a lot of headspace. That's a lot of headspace. Curtis, some people never reflect. I don't know. I reflect a lot, Curtis. I try and get better all the time. Prince, I couldn't get you Carter, brother. I apologize, all right? I apologize. I couldn't get you Carter. But what I did get you was a Saquon with the Super Bowl patch. All right. If you don't want it, you let me know. But I think it's pretty good. All right. So Prince, I couldn't get you Carter, man. Everybody is just buying up Jalen Carter's left and right. So I apologize for that. All right. I apologize for that. All right. I think we got to all the, all right. I'll send you that, Prince. I'll DM you today, get your address. All right. I'll send that out to you. And yes, you're getting a Z note, my guy. Prince, you can't deny it, bitch. You can't deny it, bitch. You're going to like it too, motherfucker. Somebody was asking how to become a member. Philly is hating the Philly Eagles. Wait, I guarantee you, this is the funniest part about this guy. So I was born here, raised here, still live here, spent 3 years living in Center City, went to high school in the middle of North Philly. I eat, sleep, and breathe the city of brotherly love, whether you like it or not. I guarantee you, this guy doesn't even live in Philly. I would bet I'll bet my business on it that this guy doesn't even live in Philly. It's always those people. It's always the people who don't live in Philly who try and tell you how to be an Eagles fan. Thank you, big dog. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Please educate me on how I can be a Philadelphia Eagle fan. Dumbass motherfucker. Dumbass motherfucker. My whole life is here. My whole family is here. My entire business is built around this team in this city. Come on, man. You sound foolish. You don't like my takes, that's fine, but don't be dumb. All right. I got to get out of here. He ain't from Bucks County. HKP, I love it. I love my haters. I really do. I love them. HKP, if you ain't got nobody hating on you, you ain't doing shit. Where's the guy who was asking how to become a member? He just subscribed. Sorry, bro. I didn't get to you. I'll find you. Let me find his comments. Darius, what's up, Darius? Thanks for subscribing, bro. Thanks for being a new viewer here on JAKIB Sports. I do appreciate it, my man. I do appreciate it. And you can become a member at the link in the description. There's a link down below, and it should show you right at the top of the description to become a member right there. So that's how you become a member. Thank you, Darius, for subscribing and for even considering the membership, my man. I appreciate your support. We do a bunch of giveaways. We're going to send a viewer to a member to the draft, hopefully. So we're doing a lot of fun stuff. All right, a lot of fun stuff. A lot of fun stuff on the channel. All right. Look. Oh, come on, man. What a foul comment. I would never do that. Zander is going to kill himself one day. That's what this guy has resorted to. So, I don't block people on our channel. You guys know that. All right. I love when people disagree. All right. I love when people disagree with me. I don't have an issue with it at all. Okay. I find it. I think that's what makes sports talk good. I really do. I don't. Do you think that we're going to sit here and agree on everything? There's no way, man. That's what makes the world beautiful. That's what makes it go around, is that I see things one thing and you see things another way. But when you want to know who the type of people I'll block are, you can look at it right there. Okay. And I will always pride myself on not blocking people and having a community that has differing opinions, that's open to differing opinions, that can debate and discuss things. But you're going to come in here and say, take my name and then put it in that title and say, Zander is going to kill himself one day. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Now, I'm blessed to, at least where I am right now in life, all right? I find life to be very beautiful. I enjoy life. I love what I do. I love my family. I love where I live. I love the business I have. I love my community of people. Okay, so don't ever get it twisted. But I understand that that's a big part of the world today, a big problem in the world today. And so, keep your head on a swivel. Take care of yourself, everybody. Focus on yourself. Do what you got to do to continue to get better each day. Darius becomes a member. Thank you, Darius. I appreciate it, my man. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. Richard says, you blocked me on Twitter. Richard, I think I have like one person blocked on Twitter. I don't even go on Twitter enough to block you. So you must have been saying some really dumb shit for me to block you on Twitter. Or you're probably honestly just lying. I don't even think I blocked anybody on Twitter. Darius, welcome to the family, my man. We have a great conversation here all the time. We're live, a lot of hours in the day. All right, so we appreciate that. Appreciate that. Flexing and stepping with $10. Thank you, Flex. I appreciate your support. Wishing death on someone because they don't have this football takes is crazy work. Flexing, it is, but here's what I'll say. I think that's a person I want to pray for. All right. You don't have to be religious. That's fine. But, yeah. I'll pray for that guy because that's, I don't want to relate to that. I don't want to relate to that at all. I really don't. There's nothing about that that makes me want to relate to that. All right, let's move on because I really don't even want to talk about it. Yeah, really needs to. Richard, I ain't unblocking you for shit. All right. You should have thought about that before you were a fucking moron, bitch. Bye, bitch. Richard Jackson. In fact, Richard, you keep it up. I'll block your bitch ass right here too. And no, I won't feel bad about it because this is my platform. I invest the money in this platform, not you. Okay. I do everything for this platform, not you. So I'll do what the fuck I want. You're going to come in here and tell me what to do? Fuck you, Richard. Bitch. Get the fuck out of here. Bye, bitch. You're gone for the day. Maybe think about it next time you want to come in here and tell me what to do on my business, on my channel, in my life. Fuck you. Numbnuts. Best place to get a Philly cheesesteak? Good question. Good question. Good turnaround. Good turnaround. Good turnaround. All right. I got a couple I like. I'm a big Jim's guy on South Street. I love Jim's on South Street. And it even got better when it burnt down and they had to rebuild it. All right. It even got better when they burnt down and had to rebuild it. Angelo's, as Flexion says, is one of the best. Angelo's. Here's a sleeper. That's not a sleeper if you're in the know. John's roast pork. Okay. John's roast pork is incredible. It's incredible. Okay. John's roast pork is a good one. And then you have the popular ones that like the websites do, D'Alessandro's and stuff. I like D'Alessandro's. It's not my favorite or really even close to my favorite. I like, you know what else I like? I like Steve's. I like Steve's Princess Steaks, but I get double meat and double cheese and double onions on it. So I get a big ass cheesesteak. I can't do, you know, a little bit of meat or a little bit of cheese. You got to go double meat, double cheese. All right. You got to go double meat, double cheese. If you're going to go to a tourist spot like Pat's or Geno's, then get Pat's. Don't get Geno's. I think Pat's is much better. No Limit says, if this show ain't Philly, I don't know what is. James Jones says, Zander, your boy Blue. Nothing but love and respect. Thank you for your hard work. James, I love you, brother. You know you're one of my favorite people in the chat, even when I got to rip you. All right. Even when I got to rip you, brother. You know I love you. You know I love you, James Jones. You're one of the greatest in here, brother. Nah, Dakota, I like more meat and cheese than bread, bro. Too much bread ain't good. Too much bread ain't my type. All right. Too much bread is not for me. Boulevard, what's up, my guy? I love Boulevard. See, Boulevard is one of the people that I love. You know, we got a lot more people in here that I love than that I don't like. All right. All right. That's how it is, bro. That's how it works. I knew. You know, Abe, I just fucking knew it. I knew it. I knew I couldn't even talk about a cheesesteak in Philly without you guys going Diddy. I knew it. I knew it. You got to be kidding me, man. Prince, you too. Abe, Prince, all you guys. I mean, come on, man. I can't even talk about cheesesteaks. I can't even talk about a damn cheesesteak and the way I like to order a cheesesteak without you guys going Diddy on me. Hollywood says, good for you sticking up for yourself and the views, Zander. That's all right, Hollywood. I always stick up for myself, brother. It's all good, my man. It's all good. You know, Hollywood, I was having this discussion on at the parade, actually, after we were all done. I was wrapped up talking to Akbar. And we were talking about this. We're talking about people who hate and people who, you know, comment shit in the chat. And most of the stuff you just let go, right? People are going to disagree with you. People are going to comment hate. That's how it works. But here's the thing I won't do, okay? Here's what I will not do. Here's what I will not do. I will not create an environment where someone thinks that they can come in, disrespect me, disrespect people in here, disrespect the work, the money, the time, and the effort I put in on this channel, disrespect the community that we've built, and disrespect everybody around them. So if you don't check some people, if you don't tell some people to fuck off, then that misery, that mentality breeds more of it. And then you have a bunch of knuckleheads who think I'm going to sit there like a fucking whipping boy and just start shitting on me. No, don't. You want to disagree? Fine. You want to be disrespectful? You want to come in here and disrespect me, disrespect people in the chat, disrespect the host, disrespect the company. that's when I'm going to take a stand. And I'm not going to allow that type of atmosphere to flourish here. So yeah, sometimes I'm going to be a dick. People will hear me be a dick. Okay. That will happen. I have great ability to be a dickhead. I genuinely think I'm a good person at heart. I think that's what matters more. But that doesn't mean I'm going to let myself get squashed. All right. That doesn't mean I'm going to let myself get squashed. So sometimes you got to stand up to people. All right. Great show. Great show. I have bad news for you guys. Okay. I have bad news for you guys. I got bad news for you guys. Jim's on South is one of my favorite, bro. One of my favorite, Curtis. One of my favorite. You know, back in the day, Curtis, when I could do it better, and I was in high school, I went to St. Joe's Prep, which is like right down in Girard. So me and my boy every week, I think it was our junior year or our senior year, we would, before we went out on Friday, we would do a cheesesteak tour. So we went to like every cheesesteak spot in Philly. And when we did that at the time, Jim's was my favorite. Now, with the benefit of more cheesesteak experience, I think Angelo's is my top. Although John's roast pork is incredible. Jim's is still amazing. They're all good, bro. They're all good. HKP, I'll hit you up on Instagram, bro. I'll hit you up and let you know. If you reach out to me there, I'll respond to you and give you some good ones, because I know it might be hard to remember. Humler! Arthur, what's up, man? Zander's a class act. Haters gonna hate. Real recognize real. Keep up the hard work, buddy. Arthur, great meeting you, man. Great meeting you on, what was that, Friday? On Friday. Arthur, you know, you asked me the question, Arthur. You said, do you know who I am? I'm like, Arthur, I know exactly who you are. I knew it down to the profile picture with the glasses. Arthur, it was great meeting you, man. You and your wife are two great people. So it was awesome meeting. And I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. John Conley, I love it. We got new people to the channel. He says, new to the channel. You sound Philly all the way. Yeah, that's where I'm from, brother. That's where I'm from. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it is true. HKP. You know, all the people I met, HKP, I'm more upset about. I got a bunch of messages. You know, you reached out, couldn't get to me. And I get it, because the place was mobbed. It really was mobbed. All right. The place was mobbed. But I had a bunch of people reach out and say, I could, you know, one guy took a picture of me from across the street. And he's like, the cops won't let me across. I'm like, man, that sucks. That sucks. So no, it was great though. It was great, HKP. I'm sorry I didn't meet you, man, but it was an awesome event. It was an awesome parade. It was Philly at its finest. Okay. Beautiful city, beautiful people, and the whole thing. I really thought it was great. I really did. I thought the city shined. I really did. Thought there was a lot of love in the air, as I said on 6ABC. And it was cool, man. It was a cool day. Yeah, HKP. I know my way around Philly like the back of my hand, bro. So it is. I could imagine it would be a lot harder to navigate that parade without having a lot of experience in the city. You know, like I said, I went to high school in the city, so I've been down there since I was young. Hollywood, you're anti-Eagle. I didn't even know this, man. I didn't even know this, Hollywood. He says, Zander, even though I'm anti-Eagle, I respect you. I respect you too, Hollywood. My respect is not hinge on whether you're an Eagle fan or not. You know, it's not about that at all. I like good people. I don't care who you're a fan of. I respect you too, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Respect is earned. Respect is earned. Joe Whip, watching on my 77-inch screen. Are Kangos like tribbles? They seem to keep multiplying. It's funny you say that, Joe. I got an email this morning. Or no, last night. I got an email this morning. Get ready. The spring drop of Kangos is coming. All right? So any extra money I have this month, which is not much, yes, I will budget aside and I'll be purchasing more Kangos. There's nothing like getting a box of Kangos. I'm telling you guys, there's a power about these things that I don't think you guys will ever understand until you put it on. And maybe even if you did, you wouldn't understand it, because not everybody can pull it off. All right. Not everybody can pull it off. You put on the Kango, it's like you feel, it's like that. It's like a zap goes through your body. You're like, oh my God, what was that? What was that? You feel the power. You feel the power. All right. Man, so thank you, bro. You're the man too. I appreciate it. Andrew, you can. You just let the women in your life tell you can't. You know, the women in my life don't tell me how to dress. They don't tell me what to do. All right. They don't tell me what to do. I'm out here living the dream, baby. I'm living the dream, baby. Yeah, Andrew. Come on. Stop letting them influence you. You think a baseball cap looks better? Come on, man. Come on. All right. It's pretty funny. Pretty funny. No, you shouldn't. No, Andrew, it should be the opposite. It should be the opposite, dog. It should be the opposite. It should be the opposite. There's a lot to teach some of you folks on game. You know, I saw some dude on Eagles Twitter the other day talking about, I felt bad for him. I don't even know who it was. He was sharing out his DMs with some honey. And they were some of the most embarrassing DMs I've ever seen. I'm like, bro, that's making that girl not wanting you even more. No, man. No. No. Who taught these guys who taught these guys game? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't freaking know. How many different colors are there? The Crayola of Kangos. I got a lot, bro. I got a lot. Here I got green. I got orange here. There's a new orange coming out. I'm going to get that. I know they are, Mulvey. He said the Kangos are pushing that hairline back. Screw it, bro. Screw it. The hair's gone. All right. It's going anyway. I don't care. I don't need my hair. I will not be defined by my hair. Okay? I don't care about it enough. I don't care about it enough. Everyone else seems to care about it a lot more than me. You know, Brandon, I will respectfully disagree with that comment. Yeah, we got a lot of Kangos. You guys want to see some? Look, here's a stack right here. Light blue, brown, black, navy blue, green, and red. 6. Here's 3 more. Maroon and white with a stripe, and another black. Here's more. A brown and a different maroon. Here's one. It's got a pink stripe. Not my favorite, but it works. A darker green. Here's another green. Here's a different green. And another orange. I got a lot. But wait until my spring order goes through. Wait until my spring order goes through. All right. Shave the head. Mad Bird. That might be coming next, bro. That might be coming next. All right. I got to get the hell out of here. I appreciate all you guys. I was just rubbing my face. Look, I got sensitive skin. You see that? My face gets all red. I rub it. I got to stop doing that in the air. All right. Man, should you buy 3 for 1? No, I just buy them all up, man. I buy them all up. You know, I'm on the air every day, so that stuff is all a write-off, all right? Doesn't mean it's free, but it's a write-off. Yeah, Devin, you know, it's another, talking about what the women want. The women are, save it, you know, put this special oil in your hair. I'm like, fuck that oil. My hair's gone. My dad's bald. I'm going to be bald. I don't care. All right, it's gone. It's done. You want me to use oils and shit? Fucking oils. Oils. You want me to put oils in my hair? Come on, man. Fucking oils. They talking to me about oils. Peppermint oil or whatever it is. Trust the science, eh? Oh, man. Oh, man. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. I love this Eagles sweatshirt, though. This thing is fly. Right? Love this thing. Pretty funny. All right. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you all so much. Great show today. All right. 3.5 hours. Me and John were fighting about some shit, which is funny. Nah, it's not worth a try. No. Have you ever read that, man? Have you ever read about that? That destroys your testosterone. My testosterone is far too high, and I will not compromise. That is what makes me a man. I won't compromise that for some fucking hair. I don't care enough. I don't care enough. All right. All right. Are you guys entertained? Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Yeah, HKP, facts. All right, brother. I'll see you guys all. I love you all, even though I know we got some women in here as well. I appreciate all you guys as well. All of our new subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing. Your support, your viewership is appreciated. I think you will enjoy this channel immensely the more you give it a chance, all right? The more you watch the content. We have live shows all day. We have clips, highlights, videos, footage. We're going to have shorts coming up more on the channel, a lot more. And don't forget to follow me over on X at Real Zander and on Instagram at Zander Krause Show. So I tried to make my Instagram or my X handle Zander Krause Show, which isn't long. And they're like, it's too long, 15 characters. I'm like, what are you talking about? Zander Krause Show? I see people with some crazy ass names. What are they doing? So I was pissed off at X because I wanted all of them to be Zander Krause Show, but it didn't work. It didn't work. All right. It didn't work. So anyway, another rant for you guys. Yeah. Don't go oils on me, Reyes. We don't want no Diddy baby oil. We don't want no peppermint oil for the hair. We don't want nothing. All right. Oils are on my shit list now. Outside of olive oil for my sparse helping of salad that I will enjoy once in a while. And no, I'm not a salad guy. I'm a protein guy. Do I look like a salad guy? Do I look like a vegetarian, a vegan to you? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. M. Reyes, save the Diddy oil for M. Reyes. Save the Diddy oil for Alexander Hernandez or Andrew Hernandez, all right, who needs to answer to his wife about why he can't wear a Kango. Save that for those people. All you guys now taking a salad. No, you don't. Salad with a nice balsamic vinaigrette and olive oil. I can't lie. It's the only veggie. I don't eat broccoli. I don't eat spinach and kale. It's the only thing in the world that I could literally puke at the thought of eating it. All right? I could puke at the thought of eating it. All right. Kale and spinach. Oh! Yuck. Yuck. Yeah. David, I used to say the same thing to my whole family. I used to say the same thing. That exact phrase. What am I, a rabbit? What am I, a rabbit? Give me some freaking protein. Oh, Ray, spinach rules. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Oh, man. Pile Driver checks in. Appreciate you streaming the parade the other day. He said, yo, it was so fun, man. Pile Driver, being down there was literally the coolest thing ever. I really enjoyed that day, man. I really enjoyed that day. All right. I did. Brussels sprouts, yeah. What do they taste like? Does that taste like food to you, Bird Gang Girl? You know, you guys want a conspiracy on the way out? Here's a conspiracy on the way out. Broccoli is fake. Broccoli does not come from anything natural. Broccoli was created by man. They mixed a bunch of that nasty ass kale and spinach seeds together, whatever they are. And broccoli is fake news. It's fake. It's not healthy. It's trash. And you can put Brussels sprouts in that conversation too. Corn as well. You're right about that. Corn is nasty, Flex. No, broccoli's nasty. Yeah, Callie, he hid from us. Farzetta hid from us. It's unbelievable. The guy hid from us. You know, I watched his recap that he posted on JAKIB. I'm about to delete the fucking thing. He's right next to the JAKIB tent, and he doesn't even pan over to show our setup. Come on, Farzy. I got to text him and call him out. I got to call him out. Broccoli is not better than blue cheese. That is trash. I like corn. I misspoke. I like corn. Corn's fine. Broccoli's trash. You ain't got no South in your body. Yeah, Abe, I was down there. You know what I hated about the South the most, Abe? The food. It was disgusting. In Alabama, it was disgusting. What I ate at Alabama could be considered prison food. It's what Prince was eating in the can. It's prison food, Alabama food. All right? Fucking prison food, bro. I love sushi. Good sushi, though. Got to be good sushi. Got to be fresh, good sushi. All right? Got to be fresh, good sushi. All right. Last question before we leave, because now we're talking about, no, I don't eat Cheerios. That's disgusting, Reyes. It's fake food as well. Okay. What would be my birthday meal? Who can get this? My birthday meal. All right. You can have anything you want. What's my birthday meal? Let's see if you knuckleheads know me. Brussels sprouts and spinach. Philly Don, that's a violation of the JAKIB chat. That is a violation on the JAKIB chat. That Brussels sprouts and spinach get a thumbs up. There you go, Abe. A lot of beef. Yeah. Give me a fat fucking steak. Rare, baby. I want that thing mooing. With some, see, Baked Eat is a good guess because my mom is 100% Italian, so I love Italian. All right, but the birthday meal, you got to go steak and mashed potatoes, baby. Steak and mashed potatoes. All day, bro. All day. I want a million. It's crazy. HKP, you know what this business has taught me? That I think I'm funnier than I ever thought I was. No veggie. Do I look like a veggie guy to you? Nah, see. Dirty air. I can respect a nice filet. But you are dirty air. And I say this with respect. You are a rookie steak eater. Okay? Because people like filet because it doesn't have fat. All right? People like filet because it doesn't have fat. Fat is what makes steaks good. All right? Fat is what makes steaks good. It's what makes them tasty. It's what makes them good. Ribeye, porterhouse is good. Come on, man. Come on. I love a filet, but we're talking birthday meal. We're talking birthday meal here. I ain't going no damn filet on my birthday. Give me the fattest piece of ribeye you got. I like the T-bone. I like the porterhouse. A tomahawk is amazing. Dirty Air says, I'd rather not chew on rubber. I'll eat rubber. I don't care. I'll eat if you call fat rubber, I'll eat it. I don't care. It's funny. I've been to Fogo de Chao. I thought it was a little overrated. I went way back there back in the day when I was in high school. Me and my girl went out there. Me and my girl from high school went out there. We went out there for high school when we were in high school. And I think it was my senior year of high school. I walked up in there like my shit didn't stink. I was a baller back in the day. Still am. I think that's why some of you guys love me. Maybe that's why some people hate me too. Woo! My voice is going. I shouldn't be screaming. Benny Hanna. Yep, overrated. Agreed. I know what a porterhouse is. But, Curtis, here's the difference. See, Curtis, you're not going to get steak knowledge by me, okay? Here's the difference, Curtis. The reason you like fatty pieces of meat is because the fat gives it flavor, okay? With a porterhouse, you don't have a lot of fat. But what do you have? Come on, Curtis. What do you have on a porterhouse? What do you have on a porterhouse? You got the bone. The bone gives it flavor. It gives it flavor. And it keeps it moist, like Reyes said. It's different. I know, it is lean. You're right, it's lean. No, Dirty Air. Fake fucking news. Dirty Air, this is some blasphemy, Dirty Air. I love you, but this is some bullshit. You cook a steak right, you don't need the fat for flavor. I'll agree you can make a great steak without fat. But if you take that same cooking method and you apply it to a steak with fat, I'm sorry. It ain't, it ain't compare, bro. It doesn't compare. I promise you. All right. Enough talking to me about steak, bro. Steak. We're ripping C24. He had some weird comments there. Well, what was a weird thing that he did? And he's come. What were some of his names? One was a Diddy name, and then one was just like it was like an odd name. I was going to kill myself or something. Weird. We got a lot of weird stuff, but hey, that's what happens in the chat. All right. I appreciate you all. John Connolly, one of our new viewers here. John, thanks for being here. Darius, who became a member. Darius, my guy. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you all for everything, man. A lot of fun. A great show today. I'm going to be debating with John some more tomorrow. I'll come up with something to debate him on. All right. Need the morning show to have some life. And we'll do that tomorrow. So thank you guys all so much for being here. Thank you guys all for the support. Dakota, amen to that. A little bit of unhinged on the show, which we love. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Arthur, thank you, bro. Dirty Air. Love you, brother. You need to update that palate. Abe, you can eat your spinach, your kale, and your collard greens somewhere else, but don't do it on my dime. You come into Philly, we're not going to get collard greens. Prince, you come to Philly, I'll go and treat you to an A5 Wagyu steak, dry aged, as you mentioned. Okay? As you mentioned, Prince. That's well done. That's good steak eating right there. All right? Callie, baby, my guy. Great meeting you on Friday. You the best. I appreciate you, bro. Flex, me and Flex are going to go get dinner. The guys are going to order broccoli with a side of kale and spinach. I'm going to get up and leave. I'm going to leave my card on the table, say pay for the meal, but I'm getting out of here. I can't eat with this guy. Flex, I love you. Prince, you come to Philly. Steak's on me, bro. Steak's on me. You got me? Steak is on me. Lucia says, the fuck wrong with collard greens? They nasty. They low down, they dirty, and they nasty. All right, see you guys. All right, I love you guys. I love all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.